And welcome to the Dynasty Vipers Start and Sit show for the night. It's not really the Viper cast, but we're still here to talk about your starts and sits heading into this very important week, heading into the playoffs. You need a win to get in. We're here to help. So before we get going, make sure you send those start and sit questions either right onto the Periscope, on the Twitter, hit us up in the comments, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff that the kids are talking about. Or, if you're a little bit shy, hit us up on our DM, send those questions in. I'll ask this question. So without further ado, we got a little bit of a panel here. We got Jeff and Calvin joining us as always. And we've got the very special Hollywood Titan joining us. So we have IDP knowledge in this building because if you ask Kyle Belfuel, I am not really an IDP expert anyway.
Oh, shoot.
I got to get that in at least once every time we do a show. I got to get that in because I know Kyle, he's creeping away in the comments section. He's probably in this. So make sure we hit those up here and we'll go from there. Special shout out to Finero for that intro video. You would catch it on here. He put a little bit of work in that, gave us a professional little bit of look. And a shout out to our new sponsor this going forward for the Vipercast. We have now partnered up with Manscaped.
Yeah,
yes,
baby.
Manscaped. I can't wait to get this the new grooming tool in here. First, I'm going to try it on my face because I find it very difficult to use a razor on my balls and then to use it on my face afterwards. There's something wrong about that theory. But before I go down low, as Louis Fantasy Football Down Under would say, I'm going to minimize the risk and kind of take care of the face first before I bring it down. So we really want to avoid nicking the dick, so to speak. So we'll make sure we talk about a little bit of Manscaped a little bit later as we continue on with the show. But it looks like we've already got quick shout out. Oh, we knew it. Sammy Waltz, he's in the building.
What's
Jeff
up,
comes
Sam?
in and Sam's here. See, Jeff's really the superstar. When you got a PT better than Sleeper, the people are going to come to see him. Me and Calvin, well, Calvin's just a pretty face, and I'm just a loud mouth, just like you, Hollywood. So we got a little bit of everything. Well, we may not have we may not have the knowledge or the looks that the other two do, but we have a lot of fun, don't we? There, Daryl.
Yeah, at least we try. We try.
I'm as
ugly as they get. So hey.
It's funny that we've kind of gone to the live stream because really both of us have a face for podcasting, right? That's basically how we've made our living with a face for podcasting and radio.
Just flash that mustache, dingus. That's what it's about right there.
Well, it's funny because this mustache, it's on the line in about a week here. So Chase and myself, we're getting our chest waxed. There's going to be bloody nipples and everything you can possibly imagine here. But here's the kicker. If we hit over $2,000 in donations, and we're at 500 right now, if we hit that 2,000, the mustache goes as well. I've put the stash on the line. So not only am I going to be bleeding from the nipples, but my lip is going to be bare in the process, which I will probably use the new
There's way more words than I wanted to hear already.
Already.
Oh, one of my favorite Twitter followers, Cooter Doodle. I love it.
Yeah.
Cooter Doodle. Love it.
Yeah, I guess I better get the comments here because that's what people.
Hey, you got to give
that's
the
probably
people
the best
what they want.
handle in Twitter.
It
that
is
probably
absolutely
the best handle in all of Twitter right now.
You know what? Every time I see that, every time I read it, it makes me laugh. Cooter Doodle. I don't even get to the doodle part. I just laugh when I hear Cooter.
Well, if you're in our chat room, there's like Cooter in a tree, Cooter here, Cooter there, Cooter everywhere. You know what I mean? So.
Here a Cooter, there a Cooter, everywhere a Cooter.
It sounds like we could put like a nice little nursery rhyme, put a little bit of music in the background there, and kind of go to town. Little.
Oh shit! I then forgot the dingus says A every time. Oh,
does it really come out that often? Do I drop the A quite a bit?
You do.
I don't even realize it if I'm doing.
It's less than I expected it to be when we started this, but it comes out.
Well, the further west you get in Canada, the less the A comes out, right? If you're like way East Coast there, it's out all the time. Like if you're talking like the Maritimes and even Ontario a little bit there, a little Letterkenny for you, A comes out and it's fantastic. But yeah, I do say quite a bit. I say crick every once in a while too. So Hollywood can relate to me on that one. So we want to get you. Hollywood looks like he's
Yes,
going to freeze
yes,
up
I
a little
can.
bit, so we're going to. We want to kind of get going here, Bob. Cooter Bob's in the house. Cooter Bob is in the house.
What's up, Cooter Bob?
Cooter Bob.
So we want to make sure we help you guys get your lineup set here this week. So we're going to kind of go into this quick here. We got the Bengals, we got the Dolphins. Calvin, I just kind of threw this together here real quick, but Bengals, Dolphins, who's your start and who's your sit?
Well, I'm sitting Joe Burrow, unfortunately. That's a guy.
That's like a cop out there.
You got to get him out of there. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we could go with Jeff. I thought maybe he would bounce back. He had surgery a couple days ago. Maybe he would bounce back, but
No, he's not on the OBJ plan.
Yeah, no. So
Well, he might be.
I think the Bengals told us last week that you really, if you have a Bengals, you don't want to start any of them right now at all. That's just unless you're desperate. And look, there's a couple of teams with some fantasy friendly options that are out there that are on bye, and maybe you have to throw T. Higgins in, and you're hoping that he scores. But I'm not necessarily looking for any of those guys to show up and necessarily win me a game to bring me to the fantasy championship. On the Miami side, Cooter Doodle is on the right lane here. Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki is the guy that I think he, no matter who starts, whether it's Ryan Fitzmagic or whether it's Tua, I think Gesicki is the guy that you're gonna look to get in your lineups. Tight ends have been rough this year. You want somebody that's going to score. That Cincinnati defense has been giving up scores to tight ends. I think that's a guy that you want to get in your lineup if you can. And if Ryan Fitzpatrick starts, Devontae Parker is getting 12 targets. Book it.
Yeah, Jeff, let's talk about this for a little bit here before we get into your starts and sits. There's some injury news here, not only with Tua and Fitzpatrick here, but in the Dolphins' backfield. It seems like it's going to be a war of attrition there to see who gets to tote the rock this week.
Yeah, it sounded like – so if you have Myles Gaskin, I would get him into your lineup. He's actually my start. I should have waited on that anyways. But, yeah, Matt Breida is out. Salvon Ahmed is doubtful. DeAndre Washington is doubtful. So it's really going to be Myles Gaskin and Patrick Laird, who you're not going to trust. Put Myles Gaskin in. It sounds like it's a true 50-50 decision on what the quarterback situation will be. We'll probably hear tomorrow morning. There was some news going around that Tua's agent was flying. Jim Bob Cooter. Tua's agent was flying over to watch the game to watch him play. Tua always has some rep at the game anyways, so we won't find that out till tomorrow.
It's funny you mentioned it because there's some nice little tying into here with Hollywood. There's some Stone Cold Steve Austin kind of memes going around about Flores coming out now after Lee Steinberg over his little news about him flying down to watch Tua play. Meanwhile, there's not been an announced starter for that game. And if I'm the Dolphins, I'm probably leaning towards Fitzpatrick here just to give Tua that extra week. That thumb's probably not 100% even right now. But I'm on this side. I'm not even on. We're on a live stream right now with 6 people watching, and that's why I'm probably not a head coach right now. So,
well, based on all the reports I was reading, coach interviews, etc., I am leaning towards. I think they'll start Fitz.
I would think so. There's no reason not to, especially after the week Fitz had. He did get that offense going. And I'm going to go, before we go to the IDP side, Devontae Parker is a start because he's going to get peppered with targets again. He got peppered last week, I think 16 targets or 15 targets. You got to roll with the hot hand here. Fitzpatrick's in the lineup. Devontae Parker is going to get himself some. And on the flip side, I mean, if you're deep and you need that touchdown dependency, I think T. Higgins is a guy you could pop into your lineup as well. Now, anywhere else on the Bengals, I'm probably pumping the brakes and not touching anybody. And as far as anyone, I'm with you here a bit on Gaskins. I'm willing to give him a shot at the flex, but I don't know. It scares me right now. Just coming back from that injury, you don't know exactly how that's going to pan out. I usually like to take that wait and see approach. Unfortunately, some of us need to win to get in this week, and some of us play IDP. So, Daryl, who are your starts and sits in this matchup?
Well, if you play in position-specific leagues, you got to especially if you start D tackles, you got to look at Foley Fatakuske for the Jets. I mean, he's had a pretty good run here lately with the sacks and everything. So he's definitely one. I'm looking kind of at Bryce Hall. I'm going double down on the Jets. I'm going to go Bryce Hall, the corner for them. They're so bad offensively. The defense is on the field a lot, so there's a lot of points to be had for those two right there.
Yeah, that's all going to be very interesting. I want to keep moving this room in here to the Raiders and the Jets. I think, for me, I'll get to that, but let's go. Daryl, you might as well keep you rolling here. IDP, Raiders, Jets. What do you got?
Oh, you got to sit Kalon Farrell. He's just been horrible. Man. Just horrible. I mean, man, I have been beating this drum until it's almost busted here lately. I mean, I want to like him, but you take the 3-sack game that he had out early in his rookie year, he's had probably 1 or 2 sacks. I can't remember what it is, but 1 or 2 sacks in his last 18 or 19 games. It's just not there. Max Crosby, even though he's been down, he's been the guy you want to have. So I'm setting Kalon Farrell. If I'm looking for someone to start, I'm probably looking at I'm probably looking at Harold Landry as a sleeper. Cleveland's not been great, and Baker's not been great. He's not thrown for a whole lot. This could be a good matchup for him. I mean, they're beat up and banged up, and it could be a game where Harold Landry comes in and steals you a sack, maybe 2 sacks.
Jeff, what do you got for this one? Obviously, we got some big news here on the Raiders side.
Devonta Booker. I think he's going to be a running back 1 this week. I would start Devonta Booker. If he's on your waivers, grab him, please. I've been telling you.
He's not on my waivers, but I have him on my team. I like that. Hell
Get him into your starting lineup. Yeah,
Damn.
Gruden's going to trust him. He's my start in this game.
I like it.
You might even be able to sprinkle a little Jalen Richard in this week, too, if you're looking for PPR for a deep sleeper there as well. Calvin, what do you got for us?
Hey, Cooter Doodle is telling Hollywood to beat the drum. I'm going to beat the drum for my man Denzel Mims. I think he is a guy that I absolutely want to get in my lineup for this one. He has been this close to a big play every single week. He's got a good rapport with Sam Darnold. That's a guy that if I've got room and I'm trying to make a decision on a flex, that's who I want to get in my lineup, Denzel Mims.
I think, you know what? Fire up your Raiders, fire up your Jets. These are 2 of the highest scoring, lowest scoring, whichever way you want to look at it, defenses in the league. Whether you're at running back, whether you're at wide receiver, tight end, Waller's going to destroy the Jets this week. Waller is a must start, but everyone already knows that. I think you could really put in Hunter Renfrow is my guy here in this matchup because I think he's going to pick apart that underbelly of the Jets all game long. He's a guy you could plug in there. And even on the flip side, by all means, Rashad Perriman, if he's ready, he's rolling. If he's healthy, you put him in your lineup because I don't know if either defense is going to be able to stop either offense in this. And, of course, what is a ViperCast show without me mentioning the allure of Frank Gore? And here is a matchup for Frank Gore, which he could be serviceable as a flex option. So, I think this is that matchup where you really could just about fire up just about everyone in your lineup and get some kind of production out of them, depending on how deep your leagues are.
Especially when the Jets are icing the clock. They're running the clock out in the fourth quarter, putting their victory away. Frank Gore, about 10 fourth quarter carries.
You just watch your dirty mouth. I'll mute your ass right here.
Oh.
He'll just mute me back, but
yeah, I mean he's good for probably at least 16 to 20 carries a game. He'll get the touches.
So I'm going to jump ahead here just because I want to make sure that we get Wiro Curry here a little bit of love, and he wants to know a couple things here. One, he's got Mims and Benny Snell Jr. Don't know who to play in the flex, but he also wants to know something about James Conner. Anything? We got anything on James Conner right now?
So do I. I would like to know as well. We're probably going to find out tomorrow So just keep an eye on that. If James Conner doesn't play, if he isn't activated off COVID IR, I would play Benny Snell. If Connor's active, then obviously I'd go Mims.
And see, this is going to work into. So we're going to jump ahead to the what do you want to call that? The Monday afternoon game here. We got a bunch of games. We're going to jump ahead because these questions came up and talk a little about the Washington Football Club and the Steelers and starts and sits. I know, Jeff, you were kind of pissed that McFarland didn't get no touches. So
yeah,
I know you want to start McFarland, but can you trust McFarland this week?
No. As someone giving fantasy advice, I say no. As someone rooting for McFarland, that side of me says yes. Yeah, you can't start McFarland.
And here's a 2-point question here, and this kind of affects the entire Steelers offense because now this is the second week this season that Ben Roethlisberger hasn't practiced at all. Is this something we need to read into, or is this something? This is Ben being Ben. Maybe he needs some. Ben doesn't need practice to come out there and perform, but last time he missed some time, he has missed. He's been hurt. He's been dinged up pretty good this year.
Come on, man. We're talking about practice. Practice. Come on.
Well, Hollywood, let's flip this over.
If anything, that boosts, I would say, Deontay Johnson's value a little bit this week, if it can even be boosted. They're going to get the ball out of Big Ben's hands quickly, so he's going to throw to whoever's open most, which is Deontay Johnson.
And then I'm going to swing over to the IDP side. We're talking injuries. Bud Dupree out with an ACL. Alex Highsmith is next man up. Daryl, do you trust Alex Highsmith? Can you put him in your IDP lineup?
I think if you're in a deep league and you're hurting for somebody, then yeah, I mean, you got to. I mean, I liked him coming out of college. Don't want to necessarily put all my eggs in his basket, but if you have no other options, then why not? Because what they do defensively, I think it benefits him. So with TJ Watt, with what they're doing with Minka Fitzpatrick and those guys, I think there's enough talent around him that he can excel there. So if you're hurting and you need somebody, then yeah, he's worth a gamble.
So, and I'm going to flip over to both Calvin and Jeff because I know you guys both believe in Terry McLaurin as much as I do. Can you start him this week, knowing that Minka Fitzpatrick is probably going to bracket him a good chunk of the game? The Steelers are going to look to take him out of the passing game, and I think you're going to see him one-on-one with Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden's a solid corner, nothing that McLaurin hasn't faced all year, but I think you're going to see that Minka Fitzpatrick kind of over top of him all game. Can you trust him in your lineup this week?
I think wanting to stop Terry McLaurin and being capable of stopping Terry McLaurin are two completely different things. I think Washington is going to actually be more competitive in this game than you think. I mean, look, the Steelers now, out of their 4 best defensive players, they've lost 2 of them. And, I mean, yes, this is still going to be a really good defense, but they're going to be just as susceptible as anybody to – if you're going to target somebody 10, 12 times in a game, he's going to be able to put up stats. And we know he's going to get the target numbers. We know that they're going to have it. We know they're going to be throwing the ball. They're not going to be able to just sit back and run the ball. So yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely starting Terry McLaurin.
And I think Pittsburgh is going to have a tougher time with Washington's front 4 than people realize. I mean, that front 4 is legit. And I say 6 because you've got Ryan Kerrigan. You've got help me. What's the other guy?
Well, you got the other sweat there. You got
Matt Ioannidis. So I mean, with
Montez,
Chase Young and Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen and Sweat. I mean, Kerrigan and man, that front 6, that's something to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyone who's tuning into the show, this isn't the first time we've talked Washington's front because I think I pretty much pound that drum every week because I love that front. I think they get after Chase Young. He kind of leads the way there. You know he's going to get his pressure. Getting pressure on Ben's one thing. Bringing Ben down's another. So we'll see how that works out for him in the long run. I kind of agree. I'm still firing up Terry McLaurin because I'm stubborn, and I do subscribe to that start your stud mentality. And I'd rather lose with my studs in my lineup than have them sitting on my bench going off. Like certain stud we're going to talk about a little bit later. But before we do, we're going to head down to Hollywood Boulevard here, and we're going to talk a little Cleveland and Tennessee. Boy, was that a good segue. Hollywood, start us off here, IDP.
Myles Garrett's going to be back this week. I think he's going to be a problem for Tennessee. Without, they don't have Taylor Lewan, so that's definitely going to be an issue. If they can't get him blocked, then Olivier Vernon's going to be an issue. I'm not too worried. They are going to miss Ronnie Harrison. I'm not too much worried about their linebackers, but those defensive ends could be a big issue. And then on the other side, like I said, if Harold Landry could be a big guy for Tennessee, and Jeffrey Simmons, Big Jeff as he's known in Tennessee land. I'm not too crazy about what Baker does, so if we can get some pressure on him, I think there's some opportunities there up front with Simmons and Landry, and maybe on the back end with Byard and Vaccaro. I think Vaccaro could be a huge play this week. And it's really going to depend on what Cleveland does with that run game. If they can get that going, then they're going to build off that. But if not, I look for Vaccaro, Landry, maybe even Evans. I look for all those guys to have pretty good games.
Can we take a mini break here to just see the sad face on Calvin over here? Alabama is just torching LSU right now.
I'm not even watching.
Najee Harris first, and then Devonta. Oh my gosh!
Not even watching.
Look, anyone watching, that was probably what Matt and my reactions were.
Sad face. Did you expect anything other than a beatdown? I mean, come on.
No. After last year, you cannot hurt me with LSU football. You just can't hurt me. Okay?
You can't hurt me. I'm numb. He said I'm numb. Oh, that's great.
Well, I might not be able to hurt you with LSF football, but Najee Harris and Devontae Smith certainly can.
Yeah.
Which we will talk a lot more later on the season when we start doing our little college breakdown draft previews per the position, which you're going to catch here between me and Jeff and Calvin, and probably bringing some guests for this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely something we're looking for. Calvin, you look like you're deep in thought there when Holly was talking IDP. What do you got with the Browns and Titans? Who's your start? Who are you starting in this matchup? And you know what? And don't say Chubb or Henry, because we're all starting Chubb and Henry because they're probably the only guys touching the ball.
King Henry, baby.
I really like this Derrick Henry guy. He's pretty good. It's about this time of year. It seems like he does pretty well. No, I want to go on the other side, and I don't know. I think the Browns are going to be able to run the football a little bit here, but I actually think Baker's a little bit of a sneaky start. I think there's a chance that with Henry running the way that I expect him to, I think there's a chance that the game script goes in a way that you start to see a little bit more from Baker than you were seeing before. I think there's been a little bit of time now. Obviously, he got Jarvis Landry going a little bit last week. There's a chance that he starts to get some of his other weapons going. And look, I do think Rashad Higgins has some talent. He's got some ability. He's not somebody I'm starting. But in a 2 QB league, if you got some options or a super flex, Baker is a guy that you could probably trust. And I think he's in that 12 to 15 range this week. And somebody that I'm looking forward to starting. I will say this, though. Can I tell you a funny Baker stat?
You think you can trust Baker, though, this week?
Well, look, that's going out on a limb, but I do think Tennessee has given up enough through the air that I think they could be vulnerable to what he can do. Just like Phillip Rivers last week, that's kind of about what I would be expecting from him.
Right.
Here's a funny Baker stat, though. I looked up. He has about 300 more passing yards right now than Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott hasn't played in 8 weeks.
Oh, shit.
Still, I like Baker this week.
I get you. I got you. Wow.
Jeff, who are you starting in this matchup?
Yeah, start your studs. Obviously, AJ. I don't even have to name him. Johnny Smith is out. I think I would look at Anthony Firkser if I need a tight end. That's kind of a desperation play, but he's done well in the receiving role. I'd be tempted to sit Kareem Hunt. He's coming off injury, but he's a hard one to sit just because he's always a threat to get those goal line touches and get
especially with the big play too. He could hit that home run play too.
Yeah, I feel like he would have to be a good flex play.
Yeah.
So you know me. You just basically said start your studs. So that's basically a prelude to saying start Corey Davis. So you know me. I'm going to start Corey Davis. That's where I'm at. I'm just grabbing a couple questions here. You're going to see them pop in here into our chat. The first one is from JBar001 on Twitter. He's asking Cam, Hill, or Fitz. I've been streaming. Does Cam have rest of season potential after this week? So I'll pop that thing up there right now.
Ooh.
Let's go
season.
here.
I don't know that Cam's had the beginning of the season.
Calvin.
Oh, you want to go to me first? So one of those three, as far as this week, I'll start there. One of those three quarterbacks recently faced the opponent that they're facing this week and put up QB3 numbers in that week. So I'm assuming you mean Taysom Hill here, and I think he's an absolute must start. I don't care what he did against Denver. Look, he was still a top 15 guy against Denver, and that was where they went in and they said, don't lose us the game. The other team is starting Royce Freeman at quarterback. Just don't lose us the game. He didn't take any chances. It's not going to be the same way. I actually think they could get into a game script where Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, those guys have a little bit more success at home. And this could be a lot more of a dogfight than it was the last time that they played, and which means he's going to have to take the air a little bit more. We know Atlanta can give up points to quarterbacks not named Derek Carr. Taysom Hill is the one out of those three that I'd be starting.
You guys agree with them, or are you guys going somewhere else?
This week, yeah, I agree. I agree with Taysom. Rest of the season,
I agree too.
I don't. With the injuries that Breeze has dealt with, I honestly think that Taysom could be a good option through at least week 15, maybe 16 as well. So yeah, I would agree Taysom this week and rest of the season.
You really want to take him the rest of the season? Well, I guess Fitz. There's nothing guaranteed Fitz ain't going to play the rest of the season.
Yeah,
Taysom Hill's probably done here in 3. Well, who knows with Drew Brees. And Cam is probably the only one who's going to play the rest of the season where he's at. So rest of the season, I'm probably leaning towards Cam just because I don't think Hill and Fitz finish the rest of the season, so to speak. But if you're looking for a 2 week, see, I'm against you guys here a little bit. I'm going to say Fitz for this week because I like Fitz. I can't get, you know me, I love my Fitzpatrick here. Yeah. I'm going to say Fitz, but you guys say you guys are rolling Taysom Hill.
The difference between them, I mean, Fitz, has that upside of throwing 300 and a couple touchdowns. Taysom's not going to do that through the air. He has the rushing upside, though.
Yeah, he's going to rush for 112 yards and throw for 89.
Do you guys realize what Cam Newton's passing line looks like this year, though? The man has 4 passing touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Anything he's done on the ground. If you give Taysom Hill that same workload, it's not going to be worse. I mean, Cam Newton just to me doesn't look like himself. I don't know that you're going to expect much more out of him than you would expect out of Hill. And honestly, if Hill does have the opportunity to play through week 15, then to me that's the way that you go and you try to plan for week 16 when you get there.
Okay, moving on to the next one. Good friend of ours, Peter Randall.
Hollywood, nobody's talking about Hill. He's been an Alvin Kamara killer, right?
Yeah, he's basically put a huge damper on Kamara so far in the last couple starts he's had. Now, is that because he's killing Kamara, or is Kamara batting a little bit more injury than what we are led to believe at this point? Because Latavius Murray's come in and played well in the run game. So that leads me to believe there's a little bit more of an injury with Kamara than what that's being let out right now. Jeff, I don't know if you're seeing something in the way Kamara is running. Does he look like he's missing a step there?
Sorry.
All right.
Jeff agrees. The Saints are pretty notoriously secretive about their injuries. There probably hasn't been a lot about Kamara out there. But look, if you think Sean Payton is not going to find a way to get Alvin Kamara involved in the game plan, you're crazy. He is. Go buy Kamara if you can.
Wait, was someone thinking about sitting Alvin Kamara?
No, that was just Hollywood
Oh,
jumping in with Kamara. A little information there about how Kamara's value has kind of gone down with Hill as the quarterback. Speaking of running backs whose value is going up the last couple of weeks, Peter Randall, that Hollywood knows really well as I do, he asks Antonio Gibson against Pittsburgh or Nyheim Hines versus the Texans.
Yep.
Boy, this is like choosing which is your favorite kid here, Calvin. So I'm going to let you make your choice right now.
I'm much more confident in the workload that Antonio Gibson is going to get, and when I think about him, I think more about like what Miles Sanders was able to do to this defense. He took that draw where he took it to the house, took about 70 yards or something like that. So that's kind of more what I see from Antonio Gibson. Maybe not necessarily a huge game from him, but I believe he's going to get the 15 to 20 touches. And I think 8 to 12 may be the most that you're going to see from Nyheim Hines.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So just so you guys know, these are questions coming in on Twitter, on our feed. I'm copying and pasting them into our comment section. And I'm actually responding to them on the actual Twitter if they aren't tuning in. At least that way we're getting these questions answered as we go, which are fantastic. Let's keep going with these questions because we can always catch up to these games a little bit later. Gary Zam says, Stafford, Cousins, Trubisky, times are tough. Oh, boy, you guys know me. Give me Mitch Trubisky against the Lions. Shut your mouth. Don't even answer. Look at the numbers. Go back. Do a fact check here. 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Last 4 games against the Lions. 12 touchdowns. That's 3 touchdowns a game he's averaging against the Lions in his last 4 starts. Put Mitch Trubisky in.
I'm with you.
Calvin, would you like to chime in?
Well, look, I understand your reasoning. I mean, obviously Trubisky does have history with Detroit, and that does make some sense. Maybe carries the higher upside. I think Cousins is the one that I'm not near as interested in starting. I just don't trust Cousins to throw the ball more than 20 times any game. If he does, it's a plus. But Stafford is really interesting. I cannot wait to see what this Detroit team looks like now that they're free of Matt Patricia. The reports are they're having fun. They're letting Marvin Hall go. They're going to let Quintez Cephas, some of these younger wide receivers, go. I just am really curious what that's going to look like. We know Stafford's good. We know he's a good quarterback, got a big arm. We're going to have these guys out there maybe playing a little bit looser, maybe just trying to say, hey, Matt Patricia or Eddie P or whatever your what was that, Jeff? Was it Eddie P was his burner account?
Eddie P. It was disproved though.
No, whatever. I don't believe it. I think they're going to want to go out and they're going to want to hang about out there because they want to show Matt Patricia, hey, we're a good team and you were the problem. So I kind of have a hunch about Stafford.
Yeah, you know what? I agreed with you, Matt, at first with Mitch Trubisky, and then I remembered Darnell Mooney is more than likely not playing, and then Allen Robinson, he might not play either. So if his top 2 wide receivers are out, I think I would lean Stafford. I don't. If those 2 wide receivers are active, I'd go Trubisky. Only because Stafford has been not as good without Kenny Golladay in there.
So I'm going to flip around here now. I'm going to go with Trubisky, but I'm going to watch that injury report because I now have to get Darnell Mooney out of my lineup because I was unaware of this injury. I knew about Allen Robinson being wishy-washy. He missed practice here today. I believe it's a knee or ankle, I believe is what they were calling it. So I was aware of the Allen Robinson. I am not going with Stafford because it's still a Bevels run offense, no matter how you want to look at it. And anyone who's watching Seahawks for a long time there, when Bevels was in charge, it wasn't clicking the way you'd like it to click. I'm not getting on board with that. I'm not getting on board with Matt Stafford against that freshly called out Bears defense. Nagy just came out in public and tore his defense, the one part of his team that's actually been playing well all season, pretty much said you guys need to pick it up in public. I guarantee you guys like Khalil Mack are going to make Stafford's day hell. So if the reports of Mooney and Robinson are correct and they don't play, I'm going to Kirk Cousins against the Jags because everyone can throw on the Jags. And it's not a primetime game, so I'll go with Cousins there. I'll switch to Cousins, barring any injury note.
And he has Thielen back too.
Oh, yes. Thielen, Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, who sounds like his ankle's fine. We're not worried about that. So
he's good to go, which is good because Alex Madison is ruled out.
So it looks like we're caught up on some of these questions here. So let's move on. Actually, you know what? We're already in the Lions and Bears game.
Devonta Smith is so good. I would start him if he's on Miami.
Well, we've got a saying around here. Devonta Smith, Najee Harris, they're the kind of guys that can make my sweatpants move. You know what I'm saying? So Najee Harris looks like
whoa, I knew it was coming. I knew that was coming.
So dang good, man.
It's like a
I don't need to know about your sweatpants or anything moving, dingus, okay?
Hey, you know what? It was 27 degrees up here today. I'm wearing shorts, okay? I'm wearing shorts. It's 27 degrees. Life is good. We're already talking about this. I love how this question came in, Gary Zam. But let's talk Bears and Lions right now. Who's the guy you're starting? Who's the guy you're not starting? We know Calvin wants to fire up Matt Stafford. But is there someone there, Calvin, that you'd rather start? Who's your start and sit for the Bears and the Lions?
Well, I love the idea of Anthony Miller getting more run in this game with those two wide receivers hurt. I mean, Anthony Miller's a guy that I love coming in. I mean, obviously things did not work out the way that I hoped to for him this season, but there's a possibility he gets a chance here with those two wide receivers being hobbled. So I like the idea of starting Anthony Miller if you are desperate. If you're thinking about, the Kiki Cutie, those kind of guys, Anthony Miller to me would be right in that same range for consideration of start. And yeah, against Detroit, I'd be firing him up.
Hollywood, IDP guys, who are you looking for? Holly Cooter.
Oh, man.
Holly Cooter.
I mean, Hollywood Cooter. Oh, shit. You distracted me. What was the question again? You lost me here. Oh, shoot.
Lions, Bears, IDP. Who's a good start?
You can't do it. Lions, Bears, a sneaky good play. I know a lot of people have soured on him, but I'm probably starting Khalil Mack this week. I mean, he's quietly had a pretty good year. I mean, not what we think or expect from him, but he's had a pretty good year. Jalen Johnson, if you're in a position-specific league where you start corners, he has been outstanding for the Lions. Jamie Collins is where I'm going. I feel like he's so underrated every year, but he continues to put out the big plays. He gets the forced fumbles, the sacks, the interceptions, whatever, pass deflections. He's just been a solid play every year, and that's the three that I'm watching right now.
I want to flip this over here to Jeff because there's DeAndre Swift, who is probably out. He's doubtful currently, I believe. And then on the flip side, I want to know, when I'm talking to IDP, I want to know, are we going to see Akeem Hicks? Do you know if we're going to see Akeem Hicks this week? Because as far as the Bears defense goes, it lives and dies by Akeem Hicks' presence in the middle.
Yeah, so they kind of pair. I'll be shocked if Akeem Hicks plays. I expect him to be out, which also boosts AP and Carry-On's value. Yeah, I would feel comfortable playing those two as flex plays. Probably. Who do you guys like better, AP or Carry-On?
Peterson, for me.
Yeah.
Especially when you mentioned the lack of presence in the middle with Akeem Hicks being out. Yeah. That screams to me, I want to pound that ball. You know what? These guys are having fun. Calvin kind of alluded to it earlier, but Calvin kind of got out there to talk about how the guys are having fun. Well, what's fun for offensive linemen? Pounding the ball. We're getting that run game going, pounding the rock.
You just keep pounding,
listen, I will pound and pound and pound.
Oh,
and you know how it is. Right, Hollywood?
I can't. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I can't.
You want to get that identity going, and you want to have fun. You want to get these offensive linemen going in, and the biggest presence on that defensive front for the Bears is not going to be in there. And you've got a guy like AP who likes to run between the tackles. Yeah, Peterson for me is an RB3 flex play easy this week and feel comfortable in doing so.
Well, and even if Hicks plays too, he was unable to practice and then limited practice at the end of the week. He's going to be limited, even if he's active. So either way, I still like that play.
I'm going to push back on that just a little bit. I'll go against the grain just because we got the report of them wanting to play the young guys. I think Adrian Peterson, I'm not sure he's going to qualify for that role. So it might be an opportunity that Kerryon Johnson gets out there. I'm not trusting Kerryon Johnson, but Adrian Peterson, I'm keeping him away from my lineup this week.
Oh, really?
Hollywood, this one's for you. Favorite Titan ever?
Oh, man. That's if we're really sticking with Titans for like multiple years, you know what? I'm going to go Chris Johnson. I know I'm going to take a lot of flack for that. Steve McNair, Eddie George. I'm going to take a lot of flack for that. Yes, Javon Curse, the freak. But you know what? Outside of that, I know he was there for just a short time, and he really didn't do anything during his time there. But Randy Moss as a Titan, that's pure gold for me. And that's a jersey I am tracking down right now, a Randy Moss Titans jersey. I wished it could have worked out better, but man, he's a definite Hall of Famer, one of the greatest ever. But like I said, if you're looking at pure Titans, I'm going Chris Johnson. As you can see, I've got a couple jerseys in the back. Maybe I can hit him up one day and he'll sign a couple of these for me.
Anyone else want to chime in? Anyone else have a favorite Titan while we're at this?
And then, if you don't have a favorite Titan, it's got to be me. Really? I mean, come on.
I like Jonnu Smith just with the way he plays. Obviously, I'm not a Titans fan, so I don't know all the legends.
Oh, you're not a Titans fan. Boo!
Hey.
I'm not talking to you no more.
All right, see ya. Even from Houston. But yeah, I just love Jonnu Smith. Huge fan of his.
I mean, I don't know how it can't be Steve McNair. He was so much fun to watch, man.
Yeah. He was, and he got robbed by Peyton Manning in the MVP voting that year. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he really got robbed that year. McNair was everything that you want in a quarterback, want in a player. And I'm kind of disheartened and saddened by the way he left the organization. You know, when he went to Baltimore, they locked him out. But Chris Johnson, I mean, and this is I'm glad you brought this up because this is a question I want to ask. When teams move or teams relocate or whatever, do you recognize where they were before? Because for me, I don't recognize anything that Houston before. I mean, I know I'm going to take a lot of flack because of it slipped my mind. What's his name? The running back for Houston. Oh, I forget his name. Who?
The one
Earl
Matt?
Campbell?
What are we talking about?
Matt Campbell. Yes, Campbell. Okay. Yes. I mean, I get it. He's great, but you know what? He wasn't a Tennessee Titan.
Right.
He really was not. He was a Houston Oiler. So, and I've had this discussion on baseball and everything else. So I don't really recognize anything before Tennessee. And I think Chris Johnson is the greatest running back we've ever had. I mean, I know Eddie George is up there. Derrick Henry's coming. Steve McNair. As far as, do y'all do that if your team relocated? I know, Dingus, this is kind of a wiffle waffle question for you because you've been to Oakland, you've been to Vegas, you've been to Los Angeles or whatever. But do you all like Cleveland? Do you recognize what they did before as Baltimore, or do you start over as Cleveland? I think what they did as Cleveland before, and they're like, you know what, Baltimore can have theirs. We want to recognize Cleveland, and they still have those Cleveland records. For me, that's pretty cool. That's where I'm at.
Yep.
I would agree with you. If I'm answering this question now, offensively, CJ2K and McNair, they're definitely the guys you have to look at. I'm going to go take it a little bit different, though. I loved watching Keith Bullock play. Keith Bullock was one of my favorite guys to ever watch.
Right.
with the Titans.
AKA
But
Mr. Monday Night.
And if we want to go this, like we just talked about this conversation, Warren Moon will always be my guy. Whether you want to, is he a Titan or he's an Oiler? He's definitely an Oiler. He's not a Tennessee Titan. But if we're doing this conversation, then it would be Warren Moon for me because of his CFL roots, becoming the quarterback with the Edmonton Eskimos before getting a shot.
I knew that damn Canadian shit was coming in somewhere. I knew it.
So that's the only reason I wanted to kind of combine the two. But yeah, it's got to be Steve McNair. He's the one who lifted this franchise. He was the franchise. Eddie George, Steve McNair. They came in, they got him to that Super Bowl. We don't talk about that, right, Hollywood? We don't talk about that game, but he got them there.
Yeah.
Shh.
That's a bad word. Don't even discuss that right now.
As an LSU Tiger fan, I'll say Zach Mettenberger was my favorite Tennessee Titan.
Mettenberger.
Shit. I hate you. I hate you, Calvin. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. That's it. I'm done. I can't with Calvin no more. I can't. Oh,
that's a pretty quick way to end that one.
Keeping the ball, Calvin.
What's the next matchup here?
The next match we want to get to is, well, it's those dirty, rotten Saints, as Hollywood calls it. Dirty, rotten is a very fluid term that Hollywood likes to use. So the dirty, rotten Saints,
it's a well-known term.
And the Atlanta Falcons this week. Who are you starting, Jeff, in this matchup?
I am starting Taysom Hill. I'll contemplate starting Michael Thomas. Oddly enough, he's a potential sit based on the past couple weeks. Latavius Murray should be in your roster, should be in your starting roster. On the flip side, if Todd Gurley is inactive, I'm considering Brian Hill and Ito Smith as low-end flex plays. Saints have a tough defense. With only 2 teams on bye, they wouldn't be high up on my list.
Hollywood, who you got starting here? Give us some IDP gems in this matchup.
Oh, man. Well, right now you got to go with Hendrickson at defensive end. He's been everything that they thought that Marcus Davenport would be. And right now he's been the beneficiary playing opposite of Jordan right now. I know they have Quan Alexander. I'm still starting DeMario Davis because I think he's the play at linebacker. And then a sneaky good play for me. And I know a lot of people don't like him, and personally, I don't like him because he's a Gator because, you know what, screw Florida. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a pretty good play right now if you need a defensive back. So those are some of the guys I'm looking at right now.
Calvin?
Yeah. He's really good in my points per on-field fight leagues. I really like what he does in those leagues for sure.
Yeah, he is. He is.
He knows how to get in the head of defense, and he's all over the place. I love watching him play.
Well, if I may here, I'm going to cut you off real quick. I guess you could say the Saints have the best 1-2 punch when it comes to fights per play.
Heck yeah, they do.
That was pretty
That's
good.
a feisty team right there. So I'm not starting any running back on the Atlanta Falcons side. Don't do that. This team the Saints are really hard to run against. I'm not really messing around with Hayden Hurst either. He put up a goose egg last time these two teams faced, so I'm not really messing around with him. On the Saints side, guys, don't overthink this, okay? I know that game against Denver was ugly, but Michael Thomas had 9 catches for 104 yards against this Falcons team 2 weeks ago on 12 targets. Like, this is not the time to take Michael Thomas and put him on your bench if you need a win. I mean, we're talking about playoff positioning. We're talking about maybe getting in the playoffs. Look, I know he hurt you last week, but don't react to just 1 week, okay? Michael Thomas is still Michael Thomas. And look, one thing I know for sure, the Saints hate the Falcons, and the Falcons hate the Saints. But Michael Thomas is as likely as anyone to get into the end zone. I know Taysom Hill hasn't thrown a passing touchdown, but Sean Payton is going to want him to do that in this game. They're going to want to prove something. He had him pull back the reins last week. He's going to let him loose this week. Unleash Taysom Hill. He's going to eat. What do you say? Let Russ cook? Yeah, let Taysom cook this week. You're starting Michael Thomas.
So I got one for you here. And this might lead to something a little bit later. I'm going to ask this around the table. Julio Jones or Michael Thomas this week?
Oh,
shit.
that's how I feel right now. Minus the language.
First of all, is Julio healthy?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, that's the question.
He is.
See, this is the hard part. For
I mean, you know what? If Julio's healthy, I'm taking Julio.
I agree 100%. I'm taking Julio every day, twice on Sunday here in this matchup because I don't trust Taysom Hill. I can't. I don't trust. We're talking my playoff line.
It's not that I don't trust Taysom Hill, but Taysom Hill has screwed up everything for everybody else. Kamara, Michael Thomas, etc. Right?
Well, I'll tell you what, Michael Thomas hasn't been the Michael Thomas for quite some time here this season. He just hasn't had a chance to get going this year.
Right.
Whether it's being injury or stupid shit he's doing off the field with his teammates, whatever it is, he's been coming out a little flat. You know what I'm saying? For most of the season here. Maybe that ankle injury is still bothering him a little bit from when he rolled it. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But when all you can run is slants, you kind of need that foot to plant on. So I can understand why it's difficult for him. Now,
I like how you just throw that in there.
I was giving you a straight face. And I'm looking directly at Calvin here, and the look of disgust on his face. But no, I'm taking Julio in this matchup. If I had to choose one, give me a healthy Julio because I can't trust Michael Thomas with my playoffs on the line. That said, I can't trust Julio saying that he's healthy either because every player will tell you they're 100%. So that's why we got Jeff here to kind of dissect this. And if I'm reading Jeff correctly, Julio can say all these things that he's not feeling anything, but that's probably just the pain shot he was given right before they asked him the question. The thing is,
you know,
I don't think
that's the same pain shot I took before I come on the show.
You haven't been feeling anything all season.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, so Julio carries a high volatility for me because this is his third time straining his left hamstring in 9 weeks. So if he plays, that re-injury risk in game is tremendously high. The hard thing is it's Julio Jones. If he's active, you play him. You know, he has the ceiling that maybe 5 other wide receivers have in the NFL. So
you have to, right? You have to play Julio if he plays.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's a very interesting one for me because I'm sitting here in one league, and it's a league you'd think I would be sitting pretty good. My quarterback is my boy, Justin Herbert. My running backs are Connor, Josh Jacobs, James Robinson, Miles Sanders. I would be feeling normally pretty good about this. On my receivers, Antonio Brown, Corey Davis, Stephon Diggs, Julio McLaren. I would be feeling great. But that matchup against the Steelers has me a little wishy-washy on McLaren. I'm still going to start him because it's still Terry McLaren. I'm still starting Julio if Julio's going to play. But a roster I felt fantastic about in a must-win week because I have to win to get in, or at least split because it's double headers. I'm not feeling very confident in what this roster can do. So I'm sitting here like most people right now, and they're really concerned about, like, how am I going to get in? Can I trust Michael Thomas? Can I trust Julio? What's the Terry McLaren? Because they need that safe floor. They need that guarantee. Can Terry McLaren go off for 1 touchdown, 176 yards? Absolutely he could. He's that good. But will he? That's the question. And I think that's what a lot of people are asking right now because it is a win and get in. This is the first round of your playoffs. If you don't win, you don't get a shot at that playoff right now. And for me, I'd normally feeling great. Miles Sanders, he gets a shot against running back Lube in Green Bay. James Robinson is James Robinson. James Conner, if he's healthy, he's got a good matchup too, if he's healthy. But I don't think he's going to be because COVID plus cancer, that means probably not going to start for a couple weeks. And I wouldn't start him either. I don't think the Steelers should let him play either, but that's my personal opinion. So
if you're
there.
That's super hard. And if you're sitting there looking at the standings and seeing it as, you have to also look at your opponent's roster and think, okay, do they have a very high ceiling team that I'm playing right now? If so, it's like you have to pick between the guys who, like Terry McLaurin, where he probably has a floor of 5 catches, 50 yards a game. That's his baseline, and then it goes up from there. But in a matchup against the Steelers, he probably doesn't necessarily have that high ceiling, that tremendous boom game that you might need. So that's what you would have to look at too.
Yeah, because I think with McLaurin, you're almost guaranteed a 4-catch, 89-yard performance. That seems to be the standard for McLaurin. That seems to be the kind of the floor with him.
Yeah, like 10, 12 points.
Anyway, let's move along here. Jags, Vikings. We'll get to Fantasy Guru God's question here in a second. I just want to kind of whip through the Jags and the Vikings real quick. Calvin, you're on mute. So, Jeff, who are you starting in the Jags, Vikings?
I want to start DJ Chark because he's back. He's off the injury report. I just don't know if I can trust any Jaguars right now, other than James Robinson, obviously. Yeah, that's a tough one for me. On the flip side, if I need a tight end, if I'm desperate for a stream option, I would consider looking at Kyle Rudolph. Irv Smith is out, so Rudolph could absorb those targets again.
Agree right with that 100% there. James Robinson's definitely a guy. Chark, I'd be pumping the brakes on. I don't know if I could trust Mike Glennon as a quarterback in any way, shape, or form. Calvin?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the starts here are pretty obvious. You're starting the real rookie of the year, Justin Jefferson, in this game.
Yeah.
You're starting Adam Thielen. I do think in the right situation, you could start Kirk Cousins. I just have a hard time trusting that he's going to have enough pass attempts. You're kind of hoping for touchdown here and there. That touchdown could go to Kyle Rudolph. I think that might be, if you're really desperate, a guy that you could throw in with Irv Smith out. So I on the other side of the Jaguars, it's James Robinson, and that's it. I honestly, I'm excited to watch Colin Johnson. I want him on my rosters, but I'm not really starting him in this matchup.
Savannah? That's kind of what I felt about that one. Yelling at the kids here on the sideline. First off, what I'm looking for in this is it's the Robinson versus Jefferson. This is the rookie of the year showdown. You're right. All intents and purposes, this is it. I don't trust any Jags. I'm not going to put any of them in my lineup other than James Robinson. On the flip side, fire me up all the Jeffersons and Thielens and Dalvin Cooks. I love the Kyle Rudolph play this week because I think it's going to be a fantastic one, especially with Irv Smith Jr. out. On the defensive side, Hollywood, can you trust anyone on the Jags or the Vikings in your lineup this week?
Mute. Jeff, next time somebody does that, we should just pretend like we're their voice and just say what they're saying. But Hollywood,
the Titans are the worst team I've ever rooted for. They're horrible.
Gosh, this guy Corey Davis is awful. I hate that guy.
Yeah.
Well, his
You're
mic's
on
not
mute,
connected.
Hollywood Cooter, unmute. Oh, where'd he go?
He's like, what? They're saying the Titans are horrible? I'm out of here.
I don't know.
It wasn't connecting for him. It wasn't showing as connected. So we're just going to move along. It's going to be a real shocker when he comes back. Colts, Texans. Calvin, what do you got for us this matchup? Who can you trust between the Colts and the Texans? Because this could be an interesting game, especially with the Texans passing game and the running game of the Colts. Where do we see this going? Who can you trust this week?
I think you can trust a heck of a lot of the Texans this week. Honestly, we sort of speculated that the Colts, even though their defense was performing as if they were an elite unit, we actually speculated quite a few times here on this show that maybe they're not quite as elite as we think. They had not played a lot of great quarterbacks, a lot of great offenses. When they started playing some really good offenses, they started looking suspect a little bit. We've seen that here. I think Deshaun Watson's going to be fine. I think he's a guy that I want to make sure, obviously, you're not putting him on the bench. Brandon Cooks is going to get peppered with a lot of targets. I mean, that's a guy you obviously want to start. Kiki Cutie. Now that's a really interesting one. In a league where you're really desperate, obviously you can start him. I do have a league like that where I was choosing between him or Anthony Miller, and I've got him in there right now. It's not a league where I'm doing very well, but yeah, I think that's definitely a guy that you want to look at. On the Colts side, Jonathan Taylor has to be part of your plan. I think he's fooled us a few times in these matchups, but I think it's time to start utilizing him. I think against this Texans defense, he probably is going to have a really good game. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that. And some of Houston's players, I think Fantasy Guru God 1 hit that point perfectly. He said, I think DeForest Buckner alters that game last week. I agree. And it's him being back, I think that lowers David Johnson's ceiling for me. He's going to have to rely on some pass catching work. Coming off a major concussion that he went on IR for, I'm not starting David Johnson, too risky. Plus, again, with Buckner back. I like the Kiki Kuti play, especially over a guy like Anthony Miller as like a wide receiver 3 or flex if you're kind of desperate there. And then, I think on the flip side, I think Jonathan Taylor has another breakout game here coming off. He did not have COVID. So I'm not expecting him to be limited by any residual symptoms that cardio wise.
Yeah, his girlfriend caught COVID from the toilet seat, right? So
Oh, shit.
Yeah, or he doesn't watch the show. I can say that kind of stuff.
Oh shit.
We're talking. You know me. I love my Texans. I love the passing game. I love what Deshaun Watson does with Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks for me is
Texans. I'm done with you. I can't talk to you if you love the Texans.
The way their offense rolls right now. But I know you kind of touched on David Johnson possibly getting some play. Duke Johnson. I think David Johnson kind of cancels out Duke Johnson this week. I think it's
right.
You can't play either one of them, right? You just can't. Duke Johnson was nice while he was there. He was a good little flavor for a couple weeks as a flex option. I think he has zero value now. Naeem Hines still has it. Jordan Wilkins loses all his value with Jonathan Taylor coming back. So it gets real interesting here. Michael Pittman, he's kind of that guy I want to see. But here's my dilemma. And we talked about this on the Wednesday show. What are you doing with T.Y. Hilton? For all intents and purposes, T.Y. Hilton has not been very friendly for your roster this year. And on the flip side, the Texans are a fantastic matchup for wide receivers. So if I'm following the matchup game, I want to get Hilton into my lineup. But if I'm following everything that Hilton has done this year, he's had one good game. It was last week. So I don't know what I'm doing with Hilton. What are you guys doing?
Cutting him.
I think I'm sitting him or cutting him. Yeah, I mean, he's not been what you expected or what you thought he would be. Honestly, I think a change of scenery for him, a trade to somewhere else would be the best beneficiary for him. Fantasy-wise, if you got him, I think you're benching him. I have him in a number of leagues, and I'm sitting him.
So I actually was looking at trading for him in a league where I need to win to get in, and this matchup just keeps – I mean, if I can get him for like a third or a fourth, maybe I pull that trigger. But then I think remember, we talked about this. I'm like, do I want Darnell Mooney or do I want T.Y. Hilton in my line? We talked about this here. We kind of went Darnell Mooney. That kind of pulled the trade off the table for me. But
I would take Mooney.
Well, Jeff gives me the kiss of death here and tells me Mooney might not play this week. So now I'm stuck here thinking, do I go after T.Y. Hilton?
I mean, if you're looking long-term, rest of the season, I think you play Mooney or you take Mooney. If you're hurting for 1 week, like Dingus is, then maybe you take Hilton. But if you're dependent on him as your wide receiver 1 or even wide receiver 2, I'm passing on that. I really am.
There has to be someone else you could target, though. Better option than.
I mean, I like Hilton, but I just think the situation with Rivers and what the Colts do is not conducive to what his game is. I think you trade him somewhere else, then I like him a lot more because I'm a big T.Y. Hilton fan, and I have him in a number of leagues, but it's just not been what you expect or what you have invested in him.
Just a couple comments that came in on the Hilton news there front, right?
I want to talk about this. Look, Fantasy Guru God 1. Listen, me and you need to help make this happen, okay? We're going to throw this out in the universe. We're going to make this happen. We want Deshaun Watson teamed up with Joe Brady. Houston needs to hire Joe Brady from the Carolina Panthers immediately as soon as the clock strikes 0 in their last game. They need to then go sign Allen Robinson in free agency in the offseason. That would be absolutely dangerous.
And draft Najee. Oh, they don't have any of their picks.
No, they don't have any picks. They're not going to get that, but I don't care. You get
draft Javonte Williams.
Sure. Yeah.
He said, I don't care.
But if I get John Watson teamed up with Joe Brady, and I don't even care who the wide receivers are. Keep the same wide receivers he has now. Get those two hooked up. That's what I want.
Get at least a little upgrade at wide receiver.
You got
when we talk about fantasy football, Ian was just telling us here that he sold T.Y. Hilton in the preseason for a first, bought him back for a fourth last week. And on top of it, that first is now being confirmed as a 2020 1-2.
What?
Very nice.
That's how you win.
Wow.
That's how you win it.
That's how you play Dynasty football.
Nice.
Wow.
So I want to talk.
Nice.
Speaking of winning, I wanted to come back to this question because we were just talking about wide receiver ones and this and that. We talking Devontae Smith from Alabama in the early rounds next year. I think Devontae Smith is going first round without a doubt. And anyone who's playing right now, just to give you an update, 7 catches, 219 yards, and 3 touchdowns against LSU. Right
and
now.
go. So any of the reactions that I've had, if I'm looking this way, it's a Devonta Smith catch. Absolutely ridiculous. So, Matt, what do you think? Do you think he's going to be the first wide receiver off the board in the NFL draft?
Oh boy, man, there's some. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be a good debate going on. You got Waddle, who's going to be battling an injury, so his numbers are going to drop down a little bit because of the uncertainty.
Will he or should he? I think he should be, but I don't know that he will be.
Well, we all thought CeeDee Lamb should have been the first one, or Jalen Reagor in my case, but the Raiders decided to go Henry Ruggs, and stupid people do stupid things all the time, so you never really know when it comes to the draft.
The thing with Waddle is his return game, the way he impacts the return game and stuff, his overall speed. I think it kind of bumps him up, but I love Waddle, but I don't know that I don't take Devontae Smith over him.
Well, I think what this says is we need to be looking at Dynasty Vipers 2021 offseason profiles for rookies. And I'll selfishly put a plug in for Destination Devy rookie profiles.
Right.
By all means. And you know what? Don't just stop there with Destination Devy. Go be a Patreon over there too, because you're going to get some fine cornerstone rankings, this and that. But we'll talk about this. There's going to be 6 to possibly 7 potential wide receivers taken in the first round. And you, depending on what you want, you're going to be able to get here. You got Waddle, you got Devontae Smith, you've got Bateman, you've got
Rondale Moore.
Chase there, you've got Terrace Marshall, you've got Rondale Moore.
Tylan Wallace.
You want it, you got it. Like Tylan Wallace, he's going to be in the second round. Like he's going to drop the second round based on how much talent is in that first round. Can you imagine if you're a team that's good at wide receiver and at quarterback, what's going to fall to you this year? Because there's going to be 5 to 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round. There's going to be 5, 6, 7 wide receivers taken in the first round. Potentially the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are the only team, in my opinion, that would, because they have 2 firsts, would take a running back, Najee Harris, in the first. There is going to be some crazy talent getting dropped to the second round. So if you're sitting there and you're set at the wide receiver and running back position, you are laughing. I've been saying this all year in Dynasty. When you're going to a trade, get that second thrown in there. Get a second in Superflex, especially if you're already set at quarterback. Trade player X for player Y and get them to throw a 2 back in, because that 2 could turn into Rashad Bateman. That 2 could turn into Pets. You know what I mean? Pets is going to go in the first round in the NFL draft as a tight end. Like, there's some crazy talent in this year's draft that you're going to want to get in on there. And just kind of, oh man, you want to see sweatpants move? Could you imagine Andy Reid getting Jalen Waddle? To go with Tyreek Hill, to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, to go with Mecole Hardman. Are you kidding me? And that is a possibility because who knows where these receivers drop to? Like, I know Ray, he loves himself some Rondale Moore as much as anybody in the draft. I think he's got him as number 2, but he loves himself some Rondale Moore. He's got him up number 1 again. There's about 4 or 5 guys you can make a claim to being the number 1 wide receiver right now. And I think it's going to come down to preference of GM and see what they want to do. See, this is Ian just being a good guy here.
No, it sounds like he did it knowing that the guy didn't tank for it. Yeah, this is like
done that.
6-dimensional chess right here. I like it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've purposefully swung deals to teams. So I have 4 firsts and 2 of the other firsts I thought were going to end up making playoffs. So I played the waivers perfectly, sold the waiver pickups to the other teams so that they would get boosts and win. And all my picks, I have 1-1, 1-3, possibly drops to 1-2, 1-4, and 1-5.
That is suave.
Well, Ian's doing better than me. Sheesh.
I'm usually off. I'm usually moving things here. So just before we move on here, I just want to kind of let you guys know that a couple little housekeeping items or general manscaping items. Manscaped just launched in the UK. We've been gone years without using the right tools for the job. You can be one of the first men in England to experience their these life-changing products right now. They've redesigned the electric trimmer. Engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created and just released a new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. Their 3rd-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, which is very key because you don't want to nick the and you don't want to give a little cut on the balls. There's nothing more frustrating than seeing a bunch of blood on the waterproof technology grooming shower. So you can take this now with you and give yourself a nice little cleanup, put a little smiley face down there while in the shower. So and everything rinses away. It's a fantastic innovation. They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. Hollywood, you know all about the quiet stroke technology, but usually there's a little bit of something louder at the end of that one.
I can't.
Come on, we're trying to be professional here, Hollywood. We're trying to be professional.
Well, you hired the wrong guy because I'm.
Yeah, as an injury analyst, I can tell you, Manscaped prevents you from lower extremity injuries.
There we go. I love the Manscaped, but I'm more used to the Blue Chew platform, so I'm no help here.
Well, you got to think about it, and this is coming from a PT here. We don't want you to be day to day with a lower body injury, so
not even week to week.
Head over to www.manscaped.com. Use promo code DynastyVipers20. Get 20% off plus free shipping by using that code. That code again is ViperCast20. So make sure you're going to go use that.
Oh, man.
Go get a grooming product. I know Hollywood, he sold already just on that promo alone.
Yeah, you had me at free shipping. You complete me.
You know what? As a Canadian, free shipping is everything here. You know what I'm saying? An extra 20% in, and that's a bonus right there. But that's not all. We've got a little bit of everything going on here during this commercial break. You want some Viper swag? Check out our friends at Viridian Global. At Viridian Global. ViridianGlobal.com, collections, Dynasty Vipers. We've got some shirts over there. And for this time being, every shirt that you are purchasing, a percentage of those proceeds will also go into No Kid Hungry. So it's one of the little promos we're running on the side here. We'll talk about that, where me and Chase are getting our chest waxed. We're taking some donations. Head over to @Dingus4. That's my Twitter. check out that pin tweet. There's different options to check. You can either go right into our whole little PayPal pool thing we got going on. You can donate directly to No Kid Hungry. That link is there as well. Just take a screenshot, send it into us, and we'll put that into our number. Last time I checked, Hollywood, you retweeted this. We were over $500 total between the two. I want to say we were at $262 on the PayPal and $245 raised directly to. Thanks to our boy Gary and his contribution as well. He was able to get that number up a lot higher there. Directly to No Kid Hungry. And if we do raise over $2,000, this beautiful lip warmer is going to be gone for the winter. So head over there, see what you got. Donate if you can. If not, just be excellent to each other. You know, and Bill and Ted's famous word, be excellent. We want to make sure, do the right thing, hold the door open, smile, ask someone how they're doing. The littlest thing, you know what? Even on Twitter, like someone's tweet, because that like might actually mean something to someone somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a dick.
I'm pretty sure that's more than a lip warmer. That's like I don't even know, dude. That damn thing is crazy.
And if we do hit 2,000 followers,
it's got its own life. It's like
Yeah.
Dingus and his lip warmer. It's like two separate things.
It might be a lot. Yes, it's very possible.
I will be removing this with my Manscaped before I use it on my balls, because there's nothing worse than using a product on your balls and then using it on your lips. So, we talk Colts, Texans.
I freaking can't.
Move over.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The Giants and the Seahawks. I'm going to let Hollywood compose himself here before talking the Giants and the Seahawks. Jeff, you seem to be the most composed right now. Who are you starting, Giants, Seahawks?
I would be tempted to sit all Giants. The only Giant I would consider playing is Wayne Gallman, but even he has a lower ceiling just because I don't expect Daniel Jones to play. He's been dealing with a pretty bad hamstring strain. What looked like at least a grade 2. So it should be Colt McCoy at center. So that gives me a little hesitation on even Wayne Gallman. On the other side, Seattle, Chris Carson is expected to be a full go. He had, I think, around 10 rush attempts, maybe a little less. So he's expected to get his typical workload back in, which is fantastic. And then DK and Tyler Lockett, I mean, if you have them, you're playing them.
Am I crazy? With my season on the line? Yeah, that's probably I don't even have to finish the rest of the line. We can just stop. To put Wayne Gallman in my lineup with playoffs on the line against the Seahawks this week, because right now Wayne Gallman is kind of getting me going. Like the voices in my head are saying, "Start him."
It's tempting, but
you're not crazy.
Colt McCoy at center.
You're not crazy.
And that's what I'm thinking here.
I mean,
Colt McCoy behind center because it's not Daniel Jones with that hamstring injury. But if you think about it, this could be one of those start because the volume is going to be there for Gallman. I wouldn't be starting Evan Ingram because I can't trust him. Whenever I don't start him, he goes off. So maybe everyone else needs to start him. On the flip side, like Sterling Shepard, Slayton hasn't been producing. I'm not trusting any pass catchers for him, but Wayne Gallman is someone I'm definitely considering for the Giants.
He's the only one.
I'm going to jump in here. Ian, I'm the last person to be asking this question to. Is Josh Gordon worth a dynasty stash? If you're in any league with me right now, he's not out there to grab because he's already on my roster because I have not let him go. He has been stashed on my roster since his first positive weed test, okay? I have not let him go. He's been stuck there. He's on every roster I own. Kelvin.
No, he's probably not really, but I honestly, if there is a guy that I'm looking for, every year we look for some good luck for the fantasy playoffs. Josh Gordon may be a guy like that you want to have on the back end of your roster just as a good luck. Like, it's just good juju to have him on your team.
Tim Tebow.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't you lie. I know I'm not the only one who dashed Tim Tebow on my roster just to get an extra win.
Yeah. He's going to help. Good locker room guy.
Oh, shit. Everywhere I look, I see Cooter.
Yeah, he's only eligible to play
I can't.
week 16 and 17, so he probably doesn't help you fantasy-wise. Dynasty-wise, I I don't know, weeds legalized, so maybe.
He's going to end up on the Texans next year with
Ooh.
Deshaun Watson and Joe Brady. There you go.
See,
Hey.
that would be the reason to stash him, is if
That's right.
he ends up signing. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
so can we
right.
talk about the Giants for a second?
The Giants, yeah, go ahead.
You guys seem really confident that there is a large drop-off between Daniel Jones and Colt McCoy. I don't know if you guys have watched Daniel Jones this year, but he has not been good. So if there are Giants that you've been starting, like, you're still starting them. And just because it goes from Daniel Jones to Colt McCoy, I don't know that that's all of a sudden this bad thing. I mean, I think there's a chance that you might even like some of your options better. I mean, this is a Seahawks defense that has been very susceptible to the pass. We see this every time. We laughed at who's the Luton, the first time he was going to go out there. First time he went out there, he had a good fantasy day. We laughed at all these guys. These guys are still really good football players, and coming out, element of surprise. They're not expecting much. I don't know that don't be surprised when Colt McCoy has 275 and a couple of touchdowns in this.
Ooh, that's spicy. So you're saying Colt McCoy is going to throw for 200 more yards than Taysom Hill?
I can't.
He's going to be behind Taysom Hill.
I can't.
Just throwing that out there. Hollywood,
Hey, Rob,
you ready? Oh, go ahead.
I want to ask Jeff a question. What do you expect out of Carlos Dunlap? Do you think he's playing in this? Because he's really important to that Seahawks defense.
Man, I'm not IDP.
Absolutely.
Let me look.
So he's going to look that up. Hollywood, who are you starting on your IDP side right now?
I mean, if he's playing, you definitely are starting Carlos Dunlap. I mean, that's been a game changer for the Seahawks and fantasy managers. I know he's had one game that, he didn't really do nothing, but you look at the other 2 or 3 out of the 4, he's been a huge game changer. And that's been a big thing for me. Change of scenery. It doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes it does. And for Carlos Dunlap, that's been huge. And not only for him, it's been huge for Seattle because they don't have any kind of pass rush. They drafted Darrell Taylor. He's been hurt. Hasn't been anything. They have Jerron Reed. He's an interior defensive rusher. Poona Ford, he's an interior defensive rusher. But Dunlap has been the last few weeks, he's been the one big guy for them. So, if he's healthy, you're definitely starting him because for fantasy and for the Seahawks, he's a game changer. And you have to. I mean, if he's healthy, you have to start him.
Yeah, Dunlap is a true game time decision. He didn't practice all week because of a foot injury. Pete Carroll said that he talked to Carlos Dunlap at the end of practice, not today, but yesterday. And Dunlap seemed optimistic, but I don't know. I still can't decipher what Pete Carroll means on his injuries. So just something to monitor tomorrow morning.
Yeah, no one can. I mean, he's so wishy-washy, kind of like Vrabel. And Vrabel's more like Belichick. You're not going to get anything from him. You're not going to get anything from those guys as far as injuries. So it's truly a game time decision. But, man, if he's healthy and he starts, I think you got to play him because he's such a game changer for them. I mean, it's just like I don't know how to explain it. He was nothing in Cincinnati this year. You put him on Seattle, it feels a need. It changes his whole dynamic, and he has been a huge player fantasy-wise. So if he's healthy, I think you start him. And maybe it's a game-time decision. I think you got to really just play close attention and see where he's at. But if he starts, I don't know that you don't start him. Even if it's less snaps and reps than what he's used to, I think you got to start him. I really do.
Speaking of starts here, as we look here, I'm going to start with you here, Calvin, with the Rams and Cardinals. Who are some of these guys you're starting and sitting in this Rams-Cardinals matchup? This could be very explosive, this matchup.
Yeah, I really love. I mean, I know Jared Goff was not very good last week. I really like this matchup here against the Cardinals. I do think that the Cardinals, they've been exposed in the secondary. They've given up a lot of passing yards. I think Goff, I think Woods, I think Kupp, and look, those are guys that going into these playoffs, the fantasy playoffs, they have a really good schedule. A lot of things going for them the next few weeks. So if you do still have the option to trade for some of those guys, that might be fantasy playoff type guys that you want to get in your roster. The biggest question mark to me is Kyler Murray. That's that injury, and I know, Jeff, I'm sure you'll have a chance to talk on that one, but the injury to his AC joint, I know he lost the tag this week, right? The questionable tag or injury designation. So I think that's a step in the right direction. But if he is, the biggest thing to me is he doesn't look like he's going for that 20-25 yard run that he seems like he sometimes looks for, and he's almost like he's looking for ways to get out of bounds because he as small as he is, he'll try to split the defense at times and go in shoulder first and pick up a few extra yards, and he just has not been doing that for fear of that shoulder. So yes, it's hurting passing the ball, but where you really want him on your team is you want him getting those extra yards on the ground. And that is what really has been suffering for him. So I'm willing to wash everything from last week off the table with the Patriots because Belichick is going to take those kind of things away. But, yeah, this is a good defense he's facing this week too.
Yeah, I think he'll have a little bit more of a chance to run this week. Like you said, Belichick schemes against – he does a great job of stopping that main focus of the other team's offense. And when Kyler's injury first happened, I was saying likely 2-3 week where he's a little limited, velocity drops a little, deep throw accuracy drops a little. And yeah, now he looked a little better last week. I think this week he's going to look even better. Like you said, he shed the injury designation. So I'm not really concerned about Kyler's AC joint anymore, outside of him taking a hard hit directly to it.
I'm glad you said that because for me, the first half of the season, Murray was the fantasy MVP for all intents and purposes. The things that he was doing up there were fantastic with his legs, with his arm. It didn't really matter. If you played against Murray early in the season, he was going to make you pay. Ian just kind of alluded to my guy here, Cam Akers. You know I love him. It's Akers, not Akers, just so you know that, right? We had this discussion here on Wednesday. Cam Akers is a fantastic talent who can break off a long run at any time, as evident by that, 69-yard run? 61, 69? I can't remember what it was.
We're not going to fact check you. Come on, you know this. No fact checking.
I thought it was.
But I actually had facts.
As I'm looking at the stats.
You told about Mitch Trubisky earlier, and I have facts that were legit. Come on, man. No, but seriously, he is the guy I want to see. We talk about these guys in Detroit wanting to get younger, giving these younger guys a shot. I would love to see Akers get a shot here. I know compared to Darrell Henderson, they're still – Henderson's pretty young too, so I don't know what it is. They need to get rid of Malcolm Brown because he's really being a thorn in my ass right now because whether you're Team Henderson or Team – there's no Team Brown. You know what I mean? There's no Brown team except for Hollywood. So – I want to believe in Akers. I want to put him in. I may put him in a flex option. I love how delayed Hollywood is sometimes. I would give Akers a shot in my flex if I'm looking for that upside this week. He's one of those upside guys to me that could break off a run at any time and score. I think we've seen him getting that goal line carry after he got that big long run. They went right back to him on the goal line for him to punch it in. I could see him getting those goal line shots here now as we move forward the rest of the season, as we gear towards the playoffs. They have a nice little 1-2-3 punch there in LA. I think they're going to be able to run the ball against the Cardinals. I don't know which running back is going to outperform who, though, when it comes to this thing, and I'm kind of avoiding it. But if you're looking for the upside, Akers is a guy I'm firing up. On the flip side, I can't trust Kenyon Drake. I love Chase Edmonds. You know I'm Team Edmonds here when it comes to this. I'm probably going to put Edmonds in my flex in a PPR league and hope for the best. In the SFBX, I'm doing that. What do you guys got? Anyone else want to throw something in?
I don't know who this Akers guy is, but Akers I like.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Kenyon Drake, you're playing just because of volume. He probably won't have the biggest game this week, but you're playing him. Chase Edmonds, I have a little more hesitation. I don't know if I would play him in flex unless it really just depends on what options you have.
Right.
Speaking of options, there's not a whole lot of options with the Patriots and Chargers. We could talk about the Patriots. There's probably no one you're really trusting there outside of James White right now. Like I don't know. No, it's not James White. I think he's hurt too. There's no one with New England I'm really trusting. And on the flip side, I'm firing up everybody on the Chargers. I'm firing up the Mike Williams. I'm firing up the Austin Eckler's. We seen what he did last week, surprisingly, with a lot more volume than we were expecting. Keenan Allen. I don't care if Stephon Gilmore's on him. It don't matter to me. You could put both Gilmore girls on him. He's still going to beat him. And then you could look at Hunter Henry. I'm definitely firing him up. What do you guys want to do?
Oh shit! I can't. Oh frick! My bad. My bad.
I feel like I'm working in the future right now. Calvin, what do you got in this matchup?
Damn it, Dingus.
Yeah,
Dingus, whatever your name is.
Yeah. Look, unless I missed something, Damian Harris is playing in this game, and the Chargers are not good at stopping the run right now. So I am absolutely firing Damian Harris up. No doubt. He is – I expect the Patriots to go out there and run the ball just down their throats completely. I don't expect a whole lot of passes. If they do, I expect the passes to go to Jacoby Myers. N'Keal Harry, as I said Wednesday, is dead to me. I don't want to hear about him this offseason. I don't want to hear anybody talking about him, about how I should buy low. I'm not buying any N'Keal Harry shares. I'm selling anything. So if you want to buy them, come to me. I'll sell them to you. But yeah, I definitely Damian Harris, and then Justin Herbert. You've got to go out there and throw him out there in your lineup. Him, a lot of those Chargers weapons that you're used to. Just not Mike Williams. I think I'm sitting Mike Williams this week.
Jeff, you want to add something real quick before we move on to the next one?
No,
I think he answered for me. I think that's
my bad. My bad.
Eckler, what's crazy is Eckler's
sorry.
expected to have a full workload, which coming off 16 targets last week. I would love for Eckler to set the record for most receptions in a game.
What is the record? 20?
21. It'd be 22, I think.
20.
Right?
Yeah.
T.O., right?
On Jerry Rice Day. Anyway, Eagles, Packers. We talked about this running back loop game for Miles Sanders. I can't trust Miles Sanders. I just can't. I can't right now. Doug Peterson talked
Miles
about being
Sanders, I am squashing him right now. He is such a – oh, my God. If you're relying on Miles Sanders, you're freaking screwed right now. Really. I mean, truly, you are screwed.
Yes. And I am
I mean, with Wentz being so inconsistent, Boston Scott, I mean,
so
how can you depend on him? I mean, I'm asking all three of you. Can you depend on Miles Sanders right now?
You're
Matt,
not wrong at all. We talked about it on Wednesday that he's had 11 games, 10 different offensive line combinations. Guess what? It's now 11 in 12 games. They made another change. I think it's actually John Runyon's son.
I got you, Coach. Miles Sanders is the equivalent of the IDP of Kalon Farrell right now. Booyah! Hit that shit right there.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's just downright
yeah,
nasty. What do you got here?
Oh, he is. It's nasty and you love it. It's nasty and you love it. You know I'm right.
So yes, we've got all the history of Miles Sanders. We've got the Boston Scott usage last week, and we've got Jordan Howard activated to the active roster today. That is another thing that makes me say, hey, Miles Sanders, even though the matchup is great, the one person that seems to doubt Miles Sanders happens to be the one that's the most in charge of his playing time and what he does for us for fantasy. So I don't think Peterson likes him. I don't think he trusts him with a full workload. I don't know what that's about. But, if Jordan Howard has 8 carries for 15 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game, I wouldn't be surprised. And, that's the Eagles team I'm just staying completely away from. Dallas Goedert I might play because he seems to be able to do fine these last few weeks, even though the offense has been bad. But that's about it.
Yeah, I like that call. Even though Zach Ertz is coming back, I think Goddard is still going to be the main tight end target. I'm holding on to a couple things. One, Green Bay run defense is absolute trash. It's atrocious. Made David Montgomery look good. He's going to look good. 2, Doug Peterson has talked about giving away at least ceding some play calling duties. So I'm hoping that whoever's calling these plays gives Miles Sanders the ball more than 8 stinking times in one game.
So just to touch base here before we move on, Ertz is back. Dallas Goedert's back. That means a lot of 12 personnel the Eagles are going to be running. You'll see a lot of 2 tight ends in there. Does that help Miles Sanders? Does that hinder Miles Sanders?
Who do you guys like more, Goddard or?
I think.
Who do you like more, Goddard or Ertz?
Goddard.
Yeah, Goddard. I think that helps.
I'm going to take the opposite here. I think Carson Wentz is getting his security blanket back. Goddard is probably more talented at this point, but I think there's more of a rapport right now between Wentz and Ertz. And when that offensive line is not gelling the way it's supposed to, the history between Ertz and Wentz. There's going to be some sort of chemistry there that they're not going to be able to forget. They're going to be on the same page, hopefully. I think that security blanket is going to be huge for them here, and I think that's why Ertz is a little more valuable in this matchup than what maybe Goddard is. Speaking of valuable matchups, we've seen what a good combination of Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes can do. Can they repeat against the Broncos? What are you looking for, Calvin? Who's starting? Who's sitting?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is fact check you a little bit here on the Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. First 2 games of the season that those 2 guys played together a full game. Dallas Goedert had 1 more target than Zach Ertz. I think he is and will be the more important tight end in that game. Kansas City, Denver.
Hang on. Do you want to put your nose hair on the line on this one? You want to get that hot wax?
Don't do it.
No, I don't.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. What are we talking about? Kansas City, Denver? Let's move on. I'm really interested in hearing from Jeff about Philip Lindsay and what to expect out of him. If he is not playing, I think Melvin Gordon makes for a really good play in this game. I also think we should be stashing Royce Freeman because Royce Freeman is potentially going to have a role here. I know Jeff mentioned it. Melvin Gordon has a court date coming up, which could result in a 3-game suspension. So I think that's a guy we definitely want to look at. Other than that, on the Kansas City side, I just want to say Mecole Hardman. That's another guy. Just be completely done with him. N'Keal Harry, Mecole Hardman, Andy Isabella. I don't want to hear about any of these guys anymore. Okay, I'm just going to mute their names on my Twitter feed. Be done with them completely.
They are all slowly moving into that John Ross, Sammy Watkins tier for me, and you know how I feel about that. Ian, just to go back on, yes, those were trade rumors on Ertz before the injury that the Eagles were looking on moving him before the deadline. That was kind of common knowledge out there, I think, in the Twitterverse. Now, whether or not around NFL circles or not, or if it was true or not, but I do believe that the Eagles were shopping him prior to the injury.
And then he got hurt.
You can do as many fact checks as you want on the show. I wouldn't recommend it because it'll keep you busy. It'd be a kind of a fun drinking game, wouldn't you think? Every time you fact check something that I'm wrong on, you have to take a shot. And I guarantee you won't make it to the end of the show.
Sean, I think Sean should just fact check us for the whole show, and then at the end we
Yeah.
can bring him in, and he can just tell us what all we got wrong.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic idea. That would keep someone busy like for a long time. We were talking Broncos here. We're talking Chiefs. I agree with you 100%. I can't trust Nicole Hardman. If you are in a high upside and you are in a matchup where, you know what, I am the number 7 seed right now. I need to win to get in, but I have the indubious task of playing the number 1 seed. Nicole Hardman's a guy that maybe you slide into your lineup because you need that big play potential. If you're playing that number, you know what I mean? You do understand what I'm saying, though, Calvin. I see you shaking your head at me. But if you know you're in a matchup where things are not looking good for you and you need those high upside plays, maybe that's something you look at. I'm not going to do it because Nicole Hardman, like you said, is in the Sammy Watkins, John Ross tier for me. Guys, I never will have on my team. It will not happen, right? I'd rather have Josh Gordon on my roster. I'm just saying. I feel much more confident with that. Broncos, as long as Drew Lock is under center, I really can't get behind anyone on that offense, not named Phillip Lindsay, who I think will be ready to roll. It sounds like he's going to play this week, which kind of hurts your little buzzkill there on Melvin Gordon. Jeff will confirm this for me shortly because he knows more about Lindsay. I think he's going to be good to roll this week, especially if he doesn't have to play quarterback.
Yeah, surprisingly, Lindsay should be able to play. I didn't think he was going to have a shot, and then he practiced in full. What's his name? Pat Shurmur, not the head coach, but Pat Shurmur said he liked what he saw. So I think Lindsay will play. That being said, I wouldn't play him this week. I think he'll be on limited snaps, which is another reason, Calvin, I like that call on Royce Freeman. But they haven't really – in games where Phillip Lindsay has been limited, they actually have heavily relied on Melvin Gordon, surprisingly, even though he's struggled with efficiency like crazy. So that's just an interesting note. And then the big one I'm looking for is if Clyde Edwards-Helaire will play or not. He's been dealing with a sickness, an illness, non-COVID related. Andy Reid said he does think CEH will play, just something to keep an eye on. If you hear anything sooner, I would grab Le'Veon Bell and maybe even Darrell Williams as a flex play. They really rely on Darrell Williams in the 2-minute drill and third down work. He gets some goal line work too.
So I was literally just going to throw this out to the panel here. If Edwards-Helaire is out, who are you starting? Le'Veon Bell or Darrell Williams? I'm going Darrell Williams.
Bell looked better. Bell looked better last week than what I thought he could do. And I think they'll see that. Yeah, that's a tough one. I lean Darrell Williams, though.
I think if that happens, I expect for Andy Reid to just have Pat Mahomes throw the ball 52 times. And that's about it. Like, I don't think – so that might mean Darrell Williams ends up being the better play because maybe he gets involved there a little bit more with the pass work. So, I don't expect either one to necessarily be extremely fantasy relevant unless they can fall into a touchdown.
Yes, and our research department just fact-checked, and the Denver Broncos are a professional football team despite what you may have seen against the Saints last week.
I will dispute that and say a professional football team doesn't ask the league if their quarterback coach or whoever he is, quality control coach, can be a quarterback for the team. No, you cannot be a professional team and do that. That is not – no.
Well, your Saints asked their tight end. No, nothing on that? Or did you not hear me?
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I said, why not? The Saints let their tight end do it. Speaking of tight end, let's go to two teams that don't have a tight end. Bills, 49ers. Jeff, I bet you do, Daryl. Bet you do. We're going to go Jeff. We're going to go Hollywood, and then we're going to go up to Calvin here on this one. Who are you starting? Bills, 49ers. This is a fantastic matchup for me, and I think
Bills, 49ers.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, I'll take this one.
I'm starting.
I'm gonna. So,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Josh Allen.
Sorry.
Josh Allen is obviously a play. I know people are worried about the MCL. No, you're starting Josh Allen. Same with Stephon Diggs, despite the tough matchup. Brandon Ayuk is expected back. Not expected back. He's for sure playing. So I would honestly play him. And I would play Debo. He's that gadget player. He'll get touches. I would also start Raheem Mostert. Yeah, he's a good play there. I would stay away from Buffalo's running backs, though.
Hollywood, IDP side. What do you got for us in the Bills and the 49ers?
I mean, of course, you're starting Warner. I think it's a no-brainer. For me, one sleeper, well, I don't know if it's a sleeper because he's probably owned in a number of leagues, but I'm starting Kerry Hyder. I mean, he has been a huge surprise for them as a pass rusher, which is interesting because if you go back a few years ago when he was with the Lions, he had the same kind of success, and you were starting him as a D tackle, but you could play him as a defensive end. So he had that dual edge ability. I think he had 8 sacks back then. He's had a great season for them this year with all the injuries, Nick Bosa and whatever. And I'm surprised that you can still pick him up on waiver wires. So I'm going with Kerry Hyder right now.
Nice. That's a nice one. That's the guy that you've been on for a while now. We've talked about Kerry Hyder and what he means for the defense. He's getting those shots there with the injuries, and he hasn't missed a beat. And now it looks like the 49ers as a whole are starting to get healthy just in time to get that playoff push, both on the defensive side and, as Jeff alluded to, Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and Mostert all starting to come back. Now we just need Jet McKinnon to get his legs back. We're going to be flying out there. Calvin, who are you starting this matchup?
Well, I really like we didn't talk. We talked a little bit about Raheem Mostert there, but first of all, I just like this. I like this NFL game. I cannot wait to watch this. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. You got San Francisco playing for their playoff hopes here. I mean, there's a lot on the line. Buffalo doesn't have near as much to play for. This game is not going to be played in San Francisco. It's going to be played in Arizona. So that is something interesting to watch. It's almost like a road game for both teams. But with you guys mentioned it, with the 49ers getting their weapons back, you've got like Eckler last week with his 16 targets, whatever it was. Raheem Mostert can also catch the ball out of the backfield. He's not just some one-dimensional back that can only run the ball. I mean, he's a guy that you absolutely can see operating out of the backfield, catching passes, and coming up with a huge game. And I think keeping the 49ers potentially on track to win this football game. So as much as I like the Bills, and I know, look, I can see Jeff's face. It makes him cringe. He doesn't want to believe it is 49ers, but I believe it is 49ers this week.
I do too. I believe it's 49ers as well this week. I think they got everything going for them. I think they're going to have a hard time containing Stephon Diggs, but we talked about this on the show on Wednesday. This is not the same Bills offense with Smokey Brown not ready to roll, and he's not playing for the next 2 weeks at least. He missed last week. He was put on IR. Don't expect John Brown anytime soon. I wouldn't expect him until the playoffs because, like you said, there's no reason for the Bills. They're not really playing for anything right now as opposed to the 49ers. Diggs, I think, will still do well. Josh Allen will still get his. I'm probably not trusting Mostert or Singletary because that 49ers team is getting going. With Greenlaw and Warner on that back end there, I think they've got two of the best interior linebackers in the league, guys that can play as well as anybody at that position. And that secondary, we know Richard Sherman coming back. He's a little bit long in the tooth, but he can still shut down guys. I don't expect him to be on Diggs because that's not a matchup I think Sherman's going to win. The speed, the agility is just not going to go. I would expect him more on Gabriel Davis. Seems to be more of his style. And then maybe bracket cover on Diggs, and Beasley's going to do what he does out of the slot.
Yeah, probably Jimmy Ward and Mosley or Ward and Jason Verrett.
Yeah, I would expect one of those guys on. I would expect Jason Verrett there on Diggs with safety help all game long, and then one-on-one with Cole Beasley. So we'll see how that actually works out. I'm not even worried about Dawson Knox. They probably won't even cover him, to be honest with you, because there's no need to.
Yeah.
Got his first touchdown last week. I really like that. Hey, this is a really cool stat. Josh Allen, I have no idea why, but he loves facing the NFC West. He actually has in 3 games this season, so that's against Seattle, Los Angeles, and Arizona, 112.8 fantasy points. Actually very, very good against NFC West opponents, so you're definitely firing up Josh Allen.
I'm all aboard that one because I think right now Josh Allen's starting to creep back into the MVP candidacy talk here again. So we'll see how that goes. But before we get to this next game, who do you got as your Calvin, who's your MVP this year so far from what you've seen?
It's Taysom Hill. It's not close. No,
oh man,
this is one of those where the right answer is Pat Mahomes. You could have people that start to get that fatigue, just like Michael Jordan didn't win MVP every year because even though he was the best player, people got tired of voting for him. Same thing with LeBron; they got tired of voting.
Answer, Calvin. Wrong answer.
Pat Mahomes is the NFL MVP.
Oh,
you're so wrong and you're such a hater. The correct answer is Derrick Henry. He's winning you fantasy championships year after year. People keep hating on him. Oh, they're going to run him into the ground. He's just a product of volume. But you know what? So be it. Feed the beast. And you know what? When you feed the beast, he just keeps eating and he just keeps eating. It's Derrick Henry. That's your correct answer, not Patrick Mahomes.
Jeff, who you got? Who's your MVP right now?
Come on, Jeff. Come on.
Are we talking fantasy or NFL MVP?
Both.
Both? All right.
Both.
Fantasy, you're going to love this, Matt. I'm going to say James Robinson, given his weekly performance, his consistency, and the value that you got for him.
That's the key, the value there. If you're talking fantasy, and I was going here, Jeff, we can kind of piggyback you for fantasy.
You know what? I can't even hate Jeff for picking a Sucksonville player. I can't even.
No, and I think you probably got him in a rookie draft incredibly late, or you got him as an undrafted player, waiver wire guy, week 1 or even before the season, and you got basically an RB1 for nothing. And that, for me, is why, for fantasy, he is your MVP. Who is your MVP overall right now, Jeff?
Man,
come on, Jeff.
It's so tough.
Don't disappoint me here.
It's not going to be Derrick Henry. Part of me does want to say Russell Wilson, just because even as a Niners fan, it's unbelievable that he doesn't have a single MVP vote.
Right.
It's not unbelievable. Look at the last MVPs. You're not voting for him over those guys.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, you look at the offense, who elevates their team the most, it really does have to be Patrick Mahomes. Voter fatigue and all that, whatever. You can look at LeBron, same situation. He should have more MVPs. Mahomes should and will get more MVPs.
Okay, we are grinding here. It's late night. We're going good. We're going Saturday. We're trying to get these lineups set up for you. I agree that Mahomes is probably going to win it. However, my MVP, most valuable player to the team, is none other than the man-child himself, Aaron Donald.
I thought of him.
Who you are. You put him in. He is the MVP. He is the most valuable player. You take him out of that Rams defense, and now Jalen Ramsey doesn't look nearly as good because there's no interior pressure coming. Interior pressure is what wrecks an offense. And if you go Aaron Donald and you line him up against Patrick Mahomes, I bet you Patrick Mahomes won't say that he doesn't pay attention to where Aaron Donald is. Aaron Donald definitely ain't paying attention where Patrick Mahomes is. He knows where Patrick Mahomes is. Patrick Mahomes is looking for where Aaron Donald is every single time because he plays inside, he plays outside, and he'll bull rush you right where you wouldn't believe it. Aaron Donald is the NFL MVP right now. And speaking, Hollywood, zip it. Like, seriously, the chat, really? I can't, Dingus. This is like a comp. That's like a T-shirt. That should be an IDP Nation T-shirt. I can't dingus. I can't dingus because I get that like more than anyone else, I think.
And that it's Dungus. It's not Dingus.
Dungus. And actually, I meant
Dungus.
Dungus, but it auto-corrected me to Dingus, so it should have been Dungus. Yes, Calvin, it should be Dungus.
Mm-hmm.
The frozen Dungus hole. Anyway, we saved the best for last. The Dez Bryant revenge game.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. We're going to need to find something. This game could be so bad right now. I don't even know. The Ravens had 4 different strands of COVID whipped through that locker room. 4 different strands, apparently. What that actually means,
we should find them at least 15 picks right now. We should find them at least 15 picks and $12 million.
I'm good with that. Seriously, like this is ridiculous. 4 different strands. 4 different strands. $12 million is like a pot of piss there for the Ravens, to be honest with you. Where are you guys looking? Who are you starting this week? Calvin, we'll start with you. We'll work our way around.
This is a really tough one because I think, Wednesday night we talked a lot about this one, and you've got a lot of guys that are in need of a slump buster here. We talked about slump busters. This is one where everybody on this team needs one. So, whether it's Hollywood Brown, whether it's Lamar Jackson, whether it's CeeDee Lamb or Michael Gallup or Mari Cooper or Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, all those guys are definitely they need to bounce back. But are they going to be able to? Now, I'm going to say if I've got Zeke, I am playing him. I know he has not been as good, but the Ravens have not been quite as good stopping the run either. They have had times where they were vulnerable to running backs. So I do think that I'm still rolling out Zeke. But that's honestly, outside of him, I don't know that I can trust anybody. Now, I will say this. If we hear in time that Lamar Jackson is out, and that would mean we're going to get Trace McSorley as quarterback, I think that probably helps the receivers in Baltimore. And if you're looking at Hollywood Brown and you talk about having guys that, with one play could change your fantasy year, then yeah, that's a guy that I might have an opportunity to roll in my starting lineup. If so, but it's low end.
Man, that just felt dirty coming out of your mouth saying Trace McSorley actually upgrades that offense. Jeff, what do you got?
Yeah, we talked about.
I love our chat room.
Yeah, we talked about this on Wednesday. I'm looking for the Ohio State alum running back matchup, Zeke versus J.K. Dobbins. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to have the bigger day. You're still, I agree with Calvin. You're still starting Zeke, even though he's struggled recently. It's still Zeke. They're gonna run through him. Outside of that, the wide receivers are so hit or miss. I think based on the fact that CD plays out of the slot, I'd probably side with CD if I had to start one of the Dallas Cowboys wide receivers, but I don't know. I need to look too if Mark Andrews is cleared from COVID. I don't think he is.
No, and I think he's a type 1 diabetic as well. And so I think that's one of those where I think and he's in a higher risk category. So I think that might be something that they look at being more careful with. It's interesting you say J.K. Dobbins. So, and he wasn't just put on the COVID list, right? He actually had COVID-19, and
which means he's immune to it now.
Right.
But does that mean with J.K. Dobbins, though,
Allegedly.
could he take on a less of a workload, and could we end up seeing more Gus Edwards because of that?
Possibly. Mark Andrews is also cleared too.
Oh, is he? Oh,
wait, did I say Mark Andrews? Sorry, Mark Ingram.
Oh,
sorry. Mark Ingram is cleared. J.K. Dobbins is cleared. Mark Andrews is not cleared.
Hollywood, what do you got for us here? Ravens defense, Cowboys defense.
Oh my God! He started the season so hot, Aldon Smith, but man, he has been such a freaking just a bust, a squash, a sit the last few weeks. I mean, you can't trust him. I mean, he's been a great comeback story. Don't get me wrong. But, man, he come out like freaking gangbusters. And right now, I can't give him away. I really can't. I mean, as much as I like him, as much as the Cowboys need him, he's insignificant right now. I think with Jalen Smith is a good play. And one sneaky play for me is Randy Gregory. He's been the guy, Smith has fallen off, but Gregory has picked up. And where you need pass rushing help, he's been the guy that you want. Not really put it all together, but I would take him over Aldon Smith right now.
Okay, I'm going to get to my point here in a second, but
nobody cares, Dungus.
We have another question coming in. Let's go around the table here. I'm going to start with Hollywood because everyone will forget what he says by the time he comes back around. Hawkinson or Gesicki?
Who?
Hawkinson or Gesicki?
Oh, no brainer. Hawkinson. That ain't even close.
Jeff?
Yeah, same. Hawkinson.
Calvin?
Yeah, I'm with you. And look, the main thing is, as good as this Bears team has been, they have not been as good against the tight end. I think Hawkinson is definitely where to start.
That's right. Hawkinson, book it.
So just to kind of piggyback here off of what Hollywood just said here in regards to Randy Gregory, I think both Gregory and Aldon Smith could factor into this one on the point that Trace McSorley being the quarterback. One, not a very experienced passer. Two, he is a runner more than he is a passer, just like Lamar Jackson. And he will hold on to that ball a little longer than what you expect. Three, I believe, and don't fact check me here, Jeff can check, Ronnie Stanley, who's been out for the last little while, I think is still out. Or if he is, he's just coming back to the lineup, their tackle, which if you're missing your tackle, your tackle, that's a big part of that offense. Or he just got back into his lineup. I can't remember, but
I thought he was out for the year. Didn't he tear?
Yeah, it very could be out for the whole season too. You lose that guy, and you've got both Aldon Smith and Randy Gregory, who are both fantastic pass rushers, with a quarterback who is inexperienced, who likes to run more than he likes to throw. That's telling me that there's opportunities. Not saying it will happen, but there's opportunities for sacks. Now, three, just because if I'm a team that's already in the playoffs and I really have nothing to play for, I'm starting Des Bryant in this one just because I can, because it's a revenge game. Now, full disclosure, I do not recommend that for anyone else who's battling for a playoff position. Please do not listen to me when it comes to Des Bryant starting. However, this is a fantastic matchup because I can't start anyone offensively other than maybe J.K. Dobbins. And even J.K. Dobbins, I'm pumping the brakes on because I don't know what kind of condition he is in after COVID. We don't know, are your lungs good? How's that lung capacity? I don't know. I don't want to take that risk for my fantasy playoffs. I'm not trusting any of the pass catchers for the Ravens because of the quarterback. On the flip side, I can't trust any of the pass catchers for the Cowboys because the Ravens are so good at shutting the pass down. They are the one place where the Ravens aren't banged up is that secondary. They are fully Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Deshaun Elliott. These guys are all in the lineup. I can't trust my Coopers. I can't trust my Gallups. I can't trust CeeDee Lamb. Tony Pollard is a sneaky pick here. He may be the one guy that can factor in more than Ezekiel Elliott, both in the run game and the pass catching game. So he's a guy I'm watching here. Lamb in the slot. Like I said, the Ravens are so good. They got so many different ways they can beat you with both pressure, which they haven't had much of because of injuries, but they're starting to get healthy there. But that back end is fantastic. So if CeeDee Lamb can have a opportunity out of the slot, he might find some success there. Amari Cooper may get bumped into the slot a little bit too because of his ability. So it's tough for me to recommend Lamb or Cooper because I don't know which one the Cowboys are going to put in the slot because they both have played the slot somewhat this year. So here, I'll ask this last question as we go around the table. Starting with Hollywood, working ourselves around. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, or Michael Gallup? I'd throw Ravens receivers in there, but it'd be a mute point.
Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, or Michael Gallup. Oh, man. I love Michael Gallup. You know what? I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb for this week. Long term, I'm going to take Gallup because I think at some point Amari Cooper moves on, and it's going to be CeeDee Lamb and CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. If you're looking at this week, I'm going to take I'm taking CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, then Gallup. But long term, I'm going to take Lamb, Gallup, and Cooper.
Jeff, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll go CD.
Yep. Gotta be the play.
I know you've got slot snaps somewhere or some kind of numbers to back up what you're going to say.
Well, so
has only taken 50 snaps outside of the slot. So almost all of his work is coming in the slot. So yes, he is the guy in this matchup that I would want to be starting. I don't have confidence in anyone else in that passing game. Dalton Schultz, maybe. I think there is a chance that Dalton Schultz does have a pretty decent game in this one. And, he actually has been pretty good at kind of a favorite target of Dalton at times and in situations where he might be getting pressure, which could happen in this matchup.
So, while I love the CeeDee Lamb call here, and I think that's probably the correct call based on numbers, my gut keeps going back. I'm watching Alabama play, so you know where I'm going with this.
Murray.
I just feel that this is an Alabama week because every single Alabama receiver is going ham. That's still something. The kids still use the word ham. Doesn't matter. I got no numbers to back this. Like everything to me right now, and I agree with you guys, is screaming CeeDee Lamb based on Juju Smith-Schuster's numbers out of the slot last week. What they did. I just want to go. I think Amari Cooper is that guy this week. I really do. I think Amari Cooper and the rapport he's built with Dalton just. I'm not saying it's a good rapport, but I think it's more of a rapport than any of the other receivers right now for Dallas. I just feel that this is a Cooper week for some reason. It's just a gut call here. So I do agree. If you need to go with some numbers or some whatever it is, CeeDee Lamb is definitely the play here because everything is pointing to his direction as a favorable matchup if we're choosing between those three. And I like to have someone going on the last game of the week just in case I still have some outside shot at advancing. I want to have a Tuesday nighter. I want a Monday nighter, something like that. But Amari Cooper is my play this week for the Dallas Cowboys. It's just – and Sean points out – makes a very, very good point. Full disclosure, my gut has cost a lot of the challenges. But I will say my gut was so confident today that Calvin refused to take on a challenge.
Goddard versus Hurts.
Goddard.
All right. Look, if Hollywood's got my back, then yeah,
Goddard.
No, I think it's Goddard.
I mean, I like Ertz, but I think Goddard has been playing. Ertz has been out for a while. It's not for me. It's Goddard, no brainer.
If the question is okay, so here's how I view it. Ertz is more likely to see more targets. Goddard is more likely to have more receptions, yards, and touchdowns.
Will he though? Will he?
Yeah.
I think Goddard's going to get more targets too.
Kinda, but I'm with Calvin. I think he sees more targets too this week. After this week, I don't know. That may not be true, but this week, yeah, I'm with Calvin. Yeah, more targets. Goddard.
Matt, here's the thing: you're not going to be in enough pain next week. Isn't this chest waxing thing happening next week too?
Oh, please let me be on next week, Coach.
Are you sure?
Oh,
this
shit.
is chest waxing week right here.
Oh shit! Here he goes. We didn't need this. We
this
didn't
little
need
sneak
this.
preview. Now, I'm just giving you a sneak preview because I'm afraid that if I give out the milk for free, you're not going to buy the cow, okay? So it's a little sneak peek of what people are going to get used to. I will point out now, before we get carried away, COVID has not been very kind to my body. I've kind of got the dad body perfected right now. So bear with me, but you're going to see blood. I think we're doing it next Saturday. I think it's when we're going to go live with it. We're still taking the donations. You go over to my Twitter handle there. Check out my pin tweet. Donate. I see a lot of my family's already jumped in there already. There's a lot of Donnellys already in the donation bin, I guess, so to speak, because they know my mustache is on the line as well if we hit 2K. So they're throwing money around on that. I would suggest if you guys can do it, do the same out there. If you're watching, if you catch the show, make sure you get on that. Make sure to go over to Viridian Global, because if you want to wear a T-shirt and still support this, you go buy a Dynasty Vipers T-shirt. We'll throw some money back into the pot on your behalf. Any proceeds that we'll be making, we'll be putting right back in for this week for the show. So make sure to go buy a T-shirt. And, of course, use ViperCast20 promo code when you purchase your Lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped, because
Word of beef. It's Angus beef.
you got to make sure you
Sean.
love your balls out there. Love your balls. Love your balls. You only got 2 of them, so make sure you treat them right.
I love my balls, but you leave my back end out of this, okay?
Absolutely. No one wants to go in that back door. That's it. I think we got most of
With that, I will never be invited again. Peace out, homies.
Hollywood, you got the floor real quick. Anything you want to promote? Get off your back here right away.
Yeah, you can find me on IDP Guys. You can find me on Twitter at Hollywood Titan. You can find me on Reddit at took me a minute. You can find me on Reddit at King Titan 1. You can find me on Facebook any given Sunday. Facebook page, IDP Nation Facebook page. We do 2 podcasts, IDP Nation and Davey IDP Grind for y'all that like the Davey stuff. Yeah, just hit me up. Any of us, we're good to go.
Jeff, it's Sunday tomorrow. There's lots of people looking for you to probably be on the shows. You got what do you got going on tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow morning I'll probably be posting updates on guys who were questionable, and then in-game injury analysis, trying to catch any videos that occur of players who get hurt. And then I'm still working on the 2021 profiles and creating a database, hopefully finish within the next 2 months or so of all NFL injuries.
You won't be able to find him on Twitter at JMCooterPT. But if you go
change that,
but if you go to JM Thrive PT, you'll catch these threads for him. And there's right now there's no one better than Hollywood when it comes to IDP, and there's no one better when it comes to player injuries right now than Jeff himself. Cooter and Hobby, what do you got?
Well, I just want to add on and just say, seriously, if you're in any IDP leagues and you are not reading Daryl's work, in all seriousness, he does great work over there on IDPguys.com. You seriously check out his podcast, listen to him, check his stock up, stock down. What do you call it? Stock market that he does every week.
Stock market. I do IDP Nuggets. Thank you, man. I so appreciate it. I feel like I'm just a pawn in this game, and to hear you guys praise on me is so wonderful. Thank you.
No, he does a great job, and seriously, you need to be reading that page if you're in an IDP league. And of course, when we talk about Jeff, we need to make sure we refer to him as the officially unofficial doctor of fantasy Twitter, because he is the guy that you want to go to for your injuries. He is, there's nobody else. Don't trust anyone else. Trust what Jeff tells you. That's absolutely what you need to do.
And then Cooter repeat. Come on now.
Yeah.
You got to repeat that Cooter. Come on.
If you need physical therapy on your Cooter, Jeff's the man.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, look, Sean makes a great point. If you want the slur-free version of Daryl, it's right there on IDP Guys. That's where you go. So
I can't.
I'm going to be, I guess I'm going to be watching Dingus have his chest hair ripped off and his nose hair ripped off next week.
Oh,
So
I can't wait to see that. That's going to be great.
So on the flip side, as we mentioned that, we may try and get into this a little bit more often. I like this little conversation we had. The chat room was going pretty good. We had questions coming through Twitter. We had questions coming through the chat room.
Dingus, you need a Twitter that's straight out of Cooter. Straight out of Cooter. Come on, man.
Maybe we get the marketing people on that.
That would be great.
That said, thank you everyone for joining us today. It was fantastic. We went a little bit long just because the questions kept coming. I got no problem rolling this out as the questions keep coming. We want to make sure we help you. So hopefully we helped you guys this week. Make sure you tune in 10:30 Eastern to the Dynasty Vipers Vipercast every Wednesday. There's some great shows. FF Confidential comes on. Fantasy Football Intervention, Join the Circle shows on. So many good shows on a Wednesday you're going to want to check out. But for the late night stuff, you want to make sure you're watching the Dynasty Vipers Vipercast. Thank you. And
tomorrow, too. Tomorrow, recapping the games at half.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Sunday night? Sunday night?
Yeah, Sunday night.
Yeah, so make sure you come back. Oh, boy. Make sure you come check us out again, I guess. Thanks, Calvin, for reminding me, or I would not have shown up. Either way, Calvin would have been there.
Hell.
So we do a Sunday night recap.
Stuck on Saturday night. Damn.
No, we hit up Sunday night, halftime of the Sunday night football matchup, just to kind of recap the games that were, kind of like a break it down in 12 minutes kind of thing. So if you want to check that out, we'd be more than happy to have you. We'd be fortunate enough and blessed that you come join us.
I love it.
Thank you.
At
Thank
Cooter
you for spending
and
this
Hobby.
Saturday night
That's where
with us.
you're at Cooter and Hobby.
For Hollywood Cooter, for
That's
Cooter
great.
and Hobby, for JM Cooter
Hollywood
PT.
Cooter. I'm famous,
I'm
baby.
I'm Dinga Cooter.